Hey, we're here. It's
Oh,
happy hour
my.
number 50. This is a fucking momentous occasion, my friends.
It's a good
This is
time,
important
yeah.
stuff. It's a milestone. And what better way to round it out than by doing Lord of the Rings?
Those movies are pretty neat.
Yeah, these little-known indie movies, you might have heard of them, but we quite like them here. I know that's a controversial take, but there you go. That's what we're like, fucking edgelords that we are.
Nice small
I
indie
know
movie.
a lot of people think it's nerdy with the fantasy and the lasers and the wizards and the magic, but that's just life, isn't it? Magical.
That is indeed. But we muddle through, we do it. I assume this is Gary, by the way. I don't
Rohirrim.
Hey, sorry. How you doing?
Yeah, good man. How are you?
Oh, so do you want to talk about your new political allegiance?
Yes, I'm alt Rohirrim, obviously. That's all. Might as well lean into it, man.
Embrace it. Just embrace it.
Just embrace it. I mean, you called it all the time, so make Rohan great again. That's what I'm saying.
Stop the foreign invaders from the east.
Yeah, One Ring, right? Days have gone down in the West. They have. So yeah, the OneRing.net said we're just rage merchants, shekels, blah 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 blah. So I.
What did they say that about you?
They said, well, it was a passive aggressive statement about all of us. So I retweeted that statement with our link to this live stream. So hopefully they're watching.
Oh, nice.
I've decided to change to a shy supremacist.
There you go.
hello to all the fine. Is that the word I'm looking for? People at the OneRing.net. Yeah, welcome aboard.
I just like the whole outraged merchant while being very outraged about just, you guys get unreasonably angry at things. You're like, oh, well,
Welcome to Fandom.
It's like that whole like pinning you to the ground and punching you while screaming, "Stop attacking me!"
Yeah, I'm trying to save you.
I'm ready.
Oh my. The violence
Oh,
begins.
Alrighty. But yeah, this whole Return of the King thing was kind of a neat movie. I thought it was okay.
Yeah, it was pretty cool.
Ups and downs. Ups and downs.
Right.
Yeah, I made the time and I did it. I watched the extended edition like you asked me to.
Good.
And I will humbly admit that it was absolutely worth doing. It is far superior to the theatrical cut.
This is
much
a
more
universal truth.
It may have actually altered my perception of the trilogy in terms of my favorites. I think it's brought the Return of the King up possibly to the top now for me.
Oh,
the payoffs are so fucking good now.
Yes, they are.
Those big emotional moments just have so much more weight behind them, and just all of the battle scenes, the big character arcs, like all of it is just so much more fleshed out. It works so much better. And yeah, when you watch a film and like sometimes it gets to you, you have to like just take a bit of time out afterwards and just chill for a while. Like that's the effect it had on me, and that's not fucking bad for a 20-year-old movie.
No.
Dude, these movies, if they came out today, we would all be blown the fuck away that they were able to make it. We'd be like, holy shit, movies aren't dead.
Yeah.
Great.
Right?
Stories can be told without.
Oh man, it's just everything it does so fucking well. Just nails every part of it.
Watching it today in beautiful, glorious 4K. I did not mean that to rhyme. Certainly you see like a couple of things like with the special effects, and that's because I'm like looking. I have to look hard. But like, no, absolutely stands up today. The beats hit just as well. Even the freaking eagles coming in. Everybody's all the freaking eagle. Well, read the books for one. If you want to know about eagles and why the eagles just don't show up all the time, because it is kind of explained in the books. They don't really explain it in the movies, but they're kind of a proud race. They're like, no, we can't be tamed by men. Don't fucking call us every time you need a ride.
There's a lot of reasoning that can be inferred, even in the movies. People said it's fucking dangerous for one. Go look, it's a really it's a risky move to have you fly into Mordor. There's a lot that could go wrong there. So all I think that would have been needed to satisfy the many people who write those very smug articles is just a line from one character. If we just had that, someone saying something real quick, I'm sure everything would have been fine. But no, people bring it up as like the #1 movie plot hole.
Yeah, but they never even flew into Mordor until the Eye of Sauron was down. So
it would just be funny if there was a deleted or alternative scene. Gandalf flies in with Frodo in the ring. They just get shot by one arrow. And then, like, fuck.
The eye just locks onto them, and then they just get shot down with ballistas or something. Okay, it looks like you're gonna have to go on foot.
Yeah, I'm gonna need a ride home.
Yeah.
Hey,
Sam, come on.
I mean, they cut out like one time where they come in and save Gandalf, so from the books. So, but that's we're talking about Return of the King. This thing brings it home, dude. It's got the best speeches, freaking Theoden, everything. I love it. I love it all. We're hard after watching this movie for like 200th time. I can't even remember how many times I've seen this movie. Like 4-hour version all the way through. It's in triple digits for sure.
Well, dude, I consider myself spoiled after seeing this when I was much younger because it set my expectations really high for movies.
This was the thing. We didn't realize how good we had it back then. It was like, oh, this is just the future of movies. They're going to be as epic and brilliantly conceived as this. Oh, how we laughed afterwards.
Remember when our worst problem was like a Michael Bay movie or something? I would take in a heartbeat right now, Yeah. Michael Bay, I'm sorry for everything bad I've said about you.
His problem is like thin characters and a plot line that's very like wonky or whatever, but like that would be great right now. Like I'll take thin characters,
yeah. Even things like the CGI, which like you say, Gary, you can kind of see it if you look closely, but it's improved even from what they had in Two Towers. Particularly with things like Gollum, I think his animation got better. I think that he morphed better into the environment than he did in the previous movie. And you could see how quickly the technology was advancing just in this one trilogy, only a year apart. Pretty remarkable stuff.
Now, if they made it today, Gollum would just be a they, them.
Yes.
That's what they'd be focused on. But yeah, I mean, particularly with it not jumping around, but just looking at Gollum specifically, like when he returns at Mount Doom, the shading on him, the shadow on him, the look of it, there were times that I actually forgot it was a CGI character.
Yeah,
it was so well done. That's 20 years ago. I'm thinking, and then nowadays, I mean, I did enjoy the first episode of Moon Knight, people. But when we saw the 1 minute promotional trailer and that like demon claw came up at the end, it looked terrible.
It's terrible in the first episode too.
And that's 20 years later, and you just sort of like, ooh.
I was gonna say the CGI in the first episode of Moon Knight. I was like, ooh. That's some of it.
Rough.
Return of the King is much better, light years better than a TV show I watched last night
with a very high budget.
Yeah,
CGI is a bit wonky, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Nothing new with that.
But you could say the same with Jurassic Park, and what was that, 93?
Oh god, that movie is so good.
From
Dude, it's not fair. So many of the good ones
used in that, though, isn't there? A lot of animatronic dinosaurs.
Well, yeah, it was a combo, right?
Yeah.
There's scenes where they come in and out of being CGI or animatronics, and it's almost seamless. Like some people, will look back and be like, "Wait, what? What do you mean?" Different parts of that. And it's like, give it a good look in 4K, you'll find it. But it's just,
well, I think
oh my god, the magic of movies, man.
Yeah, I mean, the best movies I think that deal with this kind of stuff and like heavy use of special effects, I think they find that balance between using practical effects, animatronics, miniatures, whatever, and blending it with CGI to give you that overall effect. Lord of the Rings certainly did it quite extensively. They built like a huge miniature of Minas Tirith and Barad-dûr so that they could pan around it, and then they could just add backgrounds and incidental details and figures in it with CGI. And so it gives you that great combination of the two to give you just beautiful visuals, that look super detailed, and they're interesting. They're nicely, color graded and shaded and everything. It looks awesome.
Everything is awesome in this movie. It was so great watching. I probably should have been doing like a million other things, like
yes,
this movie again. I did some research. Sorry, honey.
It's
yeah,
like
see you in
last
5
day
hours.
of the month. Yeah, I'm thinking last day of the month. I want to put a video out today, just kind of like nail it shut. And then I'm watching this, the elongated cut, the extended cut, third time within a year now. This is actually 3 times within 6 months that I've seen. And I have no problem with that whatsoever. Can I just stress? And even though I watched this 2 or 3 weeks ago, just when you contacted us and you're just like, hey, do you want to finish off the Lord of the Rings trilogy with us? I was just like, oh great, this is just another excuse to see it again. So even though, yeah, I should have put an exclamation point on my channel this month, but it's just like, or I can spend 4 hours watching Lord of the Rings and just really kind of enjoying that and soaking it up. And it's magnificent stuff.
Yeah. Have we talked about the starting yet? Because like I love how they began this, because they saved something that was from the first book, right? And it's explained out, and they saved it for the beginning. They didn't, and it was seamless, dude. It was absolutely seamless.
Gollum's backstory.
Yeah, this Smeagol,
is an interesting choice to deliver us him in his later years before showing what happened to him, because I think that helps with you constantly being unsure of exactly how you feel about him.
Yeah.
And
it's a tragic backstory, isn't it? It's just sheer bad luck that he happened to be there that day and found the ring.
It's also a creepy scene, man.
It is.
It's very creepy. Yeah.
Well, as you see him gradually change as well, and like there's a scene where he's like halfway between what he was, like a normal hobbit, and what he would eventually become as Gollum, and it's just this, horrible withered figure that's almost skeletal. Yeah, and like his face is all sunken, his hair's getting thin, and it's just awful to look at. And he's like crawling into a cave because he's got nowhere else to go. So
when he eats the fish, whenever he tears into that fish, always gets it.
Yeah, dude, they found ways of it's like it's almost coming to the level of like, wait, should this be a higher rating? And it's like, no blood. There's
no blood, no
flesh. We're fine, right? And it's like, yeah, but you're really finding ways to be creepy as fuck.
Yeah,
like the zoom in moment where like his mouth, he like spits all over the place because he's so excited to eat the fish. It's like, oh,
I kind of felt like it was fairy tale creepy.
Yeah,
and Hans Christian Andersen, Brothers Grimm, sort of creepy. So it didn't overstep the boundary.
I think it presents disturbing ideas rather than really disturbing visual, or without gore, should I say?
Yeah, I mean, because it's all exposition in the book, right? It's Gandalf basically giving his entire backstory, and I mean, you only get like the basics in the movie, right? But like Gollum eats children.
Yeah,
he eats young things. Yes,
nice.
He's not good, but it is a super tragic story. What I love, the best part of it is this was back in the days when they didn't tell everything, right? So, I mean, they talk about the power of the ring once in a while, but they don't harp on it, right? They show it. So in this scene, you see the 2 river folk, the little hobbits, or precursor to the hobbits, the river folk, like just get immediately snared. Like, soon as they see it, like they're gone, they're done.
Yeah.
Like, that's it. Like they will both kill each other for it, like immediately.
Yeah,
I thought that was great how they did that. And it just didn't waste any time, and it was seamless, and it was sad. And if you want to find out more, then you just go read the books, and you find out that Gollum was, he was like really into roots and where things began. So he's like a digger, Like he liked to dig, he liked to get in the reeds and dig around, you know. And that's what led him to the Misty Mountains, because he wanted to find the roots of the mountain. Possibly, he thought there might be things there. And you know, they in the books they go into like he didn't like the face of the moon, he didn't like the sun, you know. And then they talk about forgetting the taste of bread and stuff. And he was part of a family that was a matriarch, and she kicked him out because he went back without Deagle, and they suspected, but they couldn't prove anything, And then he eventually got banished. Because he was using the ring for no good, obviously, and just consumed him, and then showing all that in a nutshell. And, Tolkien never, I've talked about this, I'm going to say it again. He never intended this, but sometimes the work can grow beyond what the author, like George Lucas, like Star Wars grew beyond anything he intended. And Tolkien, kind of the same thing with Lord of the Rings. There's unintentional allegory there because he doesn't do allegory. But Gollum is an allegory for addiction. He's a perfect one. Absolutely encompasses what the addiction is. Like, you are willing to be a sewer rat, for that drug, which is, just symbolized by the ring. And that's why I connect to it. We all have a different reason why we connect to the story and stuff, and I've always felt bad for Gollum, right? Like the first time I saw him, it was in the animated Rake and Bass one in the 70s they used to show it on like ABC in America. And I was just little. So when I saw like that Bilbo stole his ring, I hated Bilbo. I'm like, why did that dude steal that guy's ring? That's cruel. Like, what the hell? I didn't understand. But I've always had a soft spot in my heart for Gollum, and he's the linchpin to this story too. Absolutely. If we go to the end, and it was such a great beginning, and like, you think the third film like this is a layup. Look at how many third films of trilogies don't stick the landing. It's most.
Most.
Back to the Future. That's a good trilogy. I like it. I like the third one. Return of the Jedi, mixed bag, but still, stuck the landing, we'll say. Nobody's going to argue that. But like Godfather 3, made too late.
Matrix 3.
Oh.
Rise of Skywalker, anyone?
Yeah. It's tough.
Rise of Skywalker.
That's not a fair drink of the entire trilogy. It was an abortion.
The thing is, the template is you have to shoot it back to back, and you have to have the faith to shoot it back to back. And it's either going to be a total disaster of 3 films, or you're going to,
I think the problem that you often have is the stakes have to keep getting raised when you get to that third movie in a trilogy. It has to be bigger. It has to be more epic. And you have to tie up all the different plot threads. And in something like Lord of the Rings, damn, you got a fuck ton of plot threads. There is so many characters, and they're doing so many different things.
Yeah.
It all has to find a way to wrap up, and that could have gone so horribly wrong. And in a sense, like, and I'm not going to say the theatrical cut is bad or anything, but it loses so much because they had to cut it for time constraints, and you lose about an hour and a half of content there, and there's so much that is included that just gives it that depth, and it fleshes out so many of the characters so much better.
There's no mouth of Sauron.
There's no mouth of Sauron. There's no encounter with Saruman either.
Oh, we're going to get to that. That's very soon. So the only way that the theatrical versions can be called bad is in reference to a better version of themselves, which is
sure.
Like that's how good all of it is. It's just so I wouldn't want anyone to make any mistakes here about like how we feel about all of it. It's because I was still blown away in the theaters by all of it. But when you see those extended versions, you're like, ooh, there's so much stuff.
Yeah, I think my issue with the theatrical cut of Return of the King is that with the other two, they lost less in making that theatrical cut. There was just less going on. But like when you get to that final book in the trilogy, there was so much shit that had to be encompassed into it. And it had to cut a lot more out as a result. And so certain scenes did feel kind of rushed. Certain characters weren't all that well explained. Some people just kind of disappeared from the story, and it was a little bit frustrating. And it felt like the movie that was the most ambitious, but perhaps the most flawed. But the extended cut does put right pretty much all of those problems.
Have you not seen the extended cut before then?
What? Sorry,
Had you not seen the extended cut before then?
not of this one. No,
Oh,
Fucking
wow.
hell, man.
this was my first experience of it.
We need to kill him.
Wow. Well, we finally saw it. It's okay. He comes.
It
around.
only took me 20 years, you know.
20 years.
And
Have
that's exciting, though. That's exciting that you got to do something you hadn't done, and it was on something as incredible as this.
Yeah, well,
true.
like I say, what a different experience I had. It hit so much harder at the end, and yeah, like I say, when I finished it, I actually felt like, damn, I need to go away and like calm down a little bit after this, like process it all, because there was just so much to take in.
I can't even remember the theatrical cuts.
I can't either.
I'm being totally honest, I can't. I can't remember what was cut out, because all I've watched for the last goodness knows how many years is the extended cuts. That's
There's no,
and
like,
I just kind of do them all together as well. So
yeah, I mean, there's no encounter with Saruman. The preparations for the Rohirrim, like moving to Minas Tirith to take part in the battle, are totally glossed over. Like that, there's practically nothing there. There's no mouth of Sauron. And there's just lots of little scenes that are cut down, like the romance between Faramir and Eowyn just doesn't really exist in the theatrical cut, I don't think.
wow,
So much that's been taken out. The whole battle of Minas Tirith is really condensed as well. Like the siege goes on a lot longer in the in the extended cut.
Because I saw the theatrical quite a few times before I started watching the extended, just because of the nature of how everything got released. But I still remember how weird it was in the opening when they arrive at Isengard, and then you have Treebeard just says, "The filth of Saruman is washing away," and then Pippin notices the Palantir, and it's just like, wait, this feels weird. Like, you just where is Saruman, and why is there a Palantir on the floor? Like, what is happening? And then, yeah, if you watch the extended cut, you're like, oh, because you cut all this out, you motherfuckers. Like, which yeah, I mean, we can talk about that scene if you guys want to.
That's a great scene, yeah. And
I think it might be my favorite that was cut. I think it's fucking top notch. That scene is so good.
Well, this is Christopher Lee just absolutely giving it his all, just dominating the scene, and he's fantastic. Like, how could you cut that out? That's a crime against cinema.
I agree. He everyone is like trying to get at him in some way, shape, or form. He just bites back immediately and dresses them down as characters. He's doing fantastic in this scene.
Well, I think in the it's maybe not explained quite as well in the movie, but like the sheer power of his voice has the ability to persuade you, and so they each of them is targeted by Saruman in the book, where he tries to win them over to his cause. You know, I can help you. I can be your counsel. I can make sure that you win and you come out on top. And he almost tempts every single person. It doesn't come across quite as strongly in the movie. He's more just berating them for being shit. But yeah, his insults are awesome. Like,
well, yeah, he starts out tempting, and then once they deny it, then he just fucking cuts them down in the book. It's
yeah. What is Edoras but a thatched barn where brigands drink in the reek? That's great.
The kids, roll around in the dirt with the dogs. But they kept a lot of the Tolkienism in it, which was really, really good, especially with Theoden's response. There will be peace when you hang from a gibbet for the sport of your own crows. There will be.
Yeah, there will be. Yeah, that whole thing with that.
Gibbets and crows.
Gibbets and crows.
What words of comfort did you give the halfling before you sent him to his doom?
Yeah.
And then Gandalf just looking like really fucking sad about like.
Gandalf, like Ian McKellen's acting is fucking brilliant throughout, and like those moments where he's faced with the possibility that Frodo and Sam might be dead, or that they failed in their mission, or even when they succeed and he sees Mount Doom erupt him in the distance, just that real sadness in his eyes, and that realization of what he's asked someone else to do for him, like all those sacrifices that so many people have made so that they could win, it all gets written across his face just perfectly.
And you also get just a dab of fucking great comedy too. When Saruman ends by saying, his path can only lead to death, and then Gimli just goes, "I've heard enough. Stick an arrow in his gob," and then Legolas actually prepares to do it. And Gandalf's like, "No, fucking hell."
No, we needed to talk.
Love the idea that just like a request from Gimli at this point is enough for Legolas to be like, "Yeah, let's do it."
That's the other thing you lose. You lose the drinking contest between Gimli and Legolas. Like, how could you fucking lose that?
I'm starting to feel something.
He's put away a fucking metric ton of beer, and he's like just starting to feel it.
Just a slight tingling in his fingertips. Just a slight tingling in the fingertips. That was it. But the that thing with Gimli and Legolas kind of pays off a little bit later when they were at the pirate ships, and he's like, and Aragorn just says, "Legolas, shoot an arrow across the bow."
Yeah,
and just like knocks it, so it goes into the captain's one of the captain's shipmates.
I love the guy's reaction as well, because he doesn't just keel over; he gets hit and properly goes like, "Ah!"
Gimli's like,
I think the best line from Gimli in the whole movie is when Legolas takes down one of the Oliphants and kills like 50 people in the process, and it skids to a halt, and he just leaps off the tusk, standing there cool as fuck. And Gimli just goes, "That still only counts as one."
Dude, I still remember the audience went nuts when they
off as
said
well,
that.
which is great.
No, when that happened, the audience, like, that was a cheering moment. You're right. Every time. God, I can't remember how many times I watched it in the theater too.
Again, though, it showed how amazing the elves were with, like, I mean, Legolas.
I did feel a little bit sorry for Wormtongue in that scene with Saruman, because you can see at that point how he really doesn't want to be there. Like, he's really tempted to leave and join them.
But he's killing Christopher Lee because he doesn't want him to talk. So he's still.
I thought he was just taking revenge on him. Lee, like,
I think
I thought it was trying to shut him up.
There's a lot of things to dig out of this. I think a really important part, because there's so much going on in this scene. I can't fucking believe they cut it. Where he says, "You're a lesser son of greater sires." And like his eyes start to just wander around. Yeah, and if you notice, the first person they show after that is Grima, who's like. He looks sad on behalf of Theoden because he probably knows what that means to him.
Yeah. Well, that's what Saruman does. You know, Theoden, even before he was under Saruman's spell, was feeling that way because everything was in decline. Remember, like, we're in a Middle Earth that's in like full on decline, nihilism. Everybody's separated.
Okay,
kind of like now. Yeah, exactly.
Dude. I think at one point Gandalf describes it as the tombs were like greater than the houses the living were in, an appreciation for their sires more so than their sons. Gondor fell to ruin. Like, it was loads of great quick lines for how the civilization fell apart.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they look to the stars and not to their own people. Yeah, prove that like civilizations decline. We seem to forget that. We just think it's a constant upwards thing, but it's more like a stock market. It does this.
Yeah.
So ebbs and flows. Fun talk.
Yeah, indeed. Now that everyone's fucking depressed, let's move on.
Yeah.
Well, Saruman does get stabbed in the back. Does anyone want to give the fun fact? There's always somebody.
Well, you shit all over me when I gave the thing about Viggo Mortensen.
Christopher Lee, I can
you know what, MauLer, you can give the fact.
Okay.
Presumably everyone has seen the clip where he's just like
with Peter Jackson.
I've got a bonus fun fact that hopefully at least one of you is unaware of about what happens straight after in that moment. But yeah, Peter Jackson tried to explain to Saruman Christopher Lee, how he wanted him to act out being stabbed in the back, and he was just like, "I know what it sounds like. I'll take care of it." This is like. So what you see in the movie, which, by the way, I think a lot of people might consider a bit unconventional. Like, you may have expected him to go like, "Blah," but instead it's, I think Christopher Lee describes it as like when you puncture the lung, the air is just coming out of that hole. So your breath is like taken away. And that's it's a surprise, and yeah, Saruman just goes like it just comes out of him, super surprised, and then falls to his death. And yeah, Christopher Lee's got a history of fucking one of the most incredible histories of any human being, basically.
Yes.
I recommend Count Dankula's videos on this if you want to get a quick look into all of the incredible things he's done. But one is obviously fighting in different battles, campaigns. Not necessarily. I wouldn't want to box him in. I don't exactly know what he did, but part of it would have involved that. The other fun fact, I don't know if you knew, was that having him fall and land with the stake of the water wheel going through his heart, very deliberate. And apparently, when they were filming it, Christopher Lee and Peter Jackson was hoping Christopher Lee wouldn't notice that he's got him staked, and he did.
Yeah, like Count Dracula.
Yeah, it's really fun. Because the water wheel has these big spikes on it, which is nice and evil, but you do wonder, like, why the fuck are there giant spikes?
It's like everything has to be as like sinister as possible.
Hazard.
Yeah, fucking health and safety must have like just a hell of a time there. Like you can just imagine one orc that's been tasked with like maintaining health and safety at Isengard. It's a nightmare.
That level of passion and fun and interest and care, I don't know, man. Lord of the Rings production has so many stories about it, while I feel like a lot of productions, they're so I don't want to shit on any film particularly, right, but there's loads I could choose. It just seems that a lot of them are so conveyor belty that everyone's just trying to get out, it's just like, when's our day over? Come on, when are we done? But it seems like they were genuinely depressed to finish filming Lord of the Rings because of how much fun it was.
I mean, how many times do you drink when we're talking? Well, I mean, all of us, but you particularly have a specific line for it when things just don't make sense. Why did this happen? Don't know. And that's one thing that we always discuss, but it's got to the point now where it's got its own line because the lack of care and attention and detail has gone. I mean, I specifically deal with trash TV shows because that's what my audience like me to rip my hair out at. But it's just incredible at just how, like in the latest episode of Naomi, for example, the episode 8 of season 1, they'd totally forgotten what they did with her in episode 2 when it came to her flying. And so in episode 8, she was like, "Oh, I can't fly." But in episode 2, it clearly showed her jumping off a bridge and flying because the guy looked down and she wasn't there, and so he started looking up to see where she had gone.
With shows like that, is it just time constraints? Is it like we've got to get more content out there? We've only got like 2 weeks to write the scripts. Just get them done, get them out there. It doesn't matter about continuity. Just get it made. More content. Go.
There's time constraints, and there's more constraints put on the quote unquote creatives before they even start. Right? There's so many you can and here's what you can do, and here's what you can't do. And they're going in with their hands tied most of the time.
And it's a fucking nightmare when you want to build to your big payoffs, and you're like, right, to make that happen, I need to set up this to make it meaningful. And then that portion is given the least amount of time and respect these days. Like scripting, figuring out why and where. Because a lot of people have said, like, well, of course, these films worked out so well. They're adapting such great material. And it's like, these days, the time needed to adapt it properly wouldn't even be given, more than likely.
No. And even
you
when
end up,
time, they don't do it right.
If you have an inexperienced writer with very limited time, they need to write Theoden, for example. We need to show all the references for why he feels inadequate, what parts of his kingdom he feels are falling apart. If you remember, when he's leaving Rohan at first, they have that moment where he's like, so it's Minas Tirith that our doom will be decided. He is very, let's say, down bad about this whole situation. He is not very engaged with it. And yet he comes through as a bloody brilliant leader. And it's part of what makes it so compelling. But a lot of, I would say, amateur writers might just be like, yeah, have a scene where he says, like, I feel bad about being king, and that should be enough, and we'll move on.
Oh, yeah.
No.
Yeah, like, I worry that I'm just not going to live up to my ancestors. I'm not going to be worthy. It's like, yeah, you don't need to tell us that. It's like we can infer it. It's fine.
Tell us without telling.
And that's where they would leave it if it was written today. They wouldn't give Theoden any kind of redemption. It would just be, Yeah,
Well,
he was a bad
for a
white.
start, he would be an incompetent white man who would
Sure.
who would absolutely lead the Rohirrim to defeat, and he would need to be helped by someone else. But yeah, that's just a different era of filmmaking. It's like that time in the 2000s just felt like that sweet spot where technology had gotten pretty good with VFX. You know, the writing was still there. There was still that care and that desire to tell good stories, and it wasn't really contaminated too much by the message. And yeah, it felt like a great time. I guess we just didn't appreciate it enough, maybe, when it was around.
I fucking love dialogue where you can dig in, like when they're all just celebrating. Then he just says to his daughter that it wasn't Theoden of Rohan that led our people to victory, and she like looks at him and he goes, "Nah, don't listen to me. Have fun. This is parties for you guys." And it's just like, oh man, he's a very good character, Theoden. He's compelling to a lot of fucking people.
He's great. He was great in the books. And yeah, like the actor who played him, can't remember, it's Bernard something. I can't remember his surname, but he does a great job with him.
Oh, again, casting is through the roof in this series of films.
Bernard Hill.
Don't know who was responsible for the casting, but they honestly seem to have picked everybody perfectly.
Yep. I was going to say as well, like I do like the scene where Merry and Pippin show up and they're just like feasting and smoking weed.
Yeah.
Because what else would you do at a time like that? Fuck it.
I think it's
long bottom weed.
Yeah, it's like when they talk about the salted pork being particularly nice and like salted pork.
Dude, his fucking face. I've always seen it as like some of the most genuine appreciation. Just, I would like that, please. Like, I love his little like ramble when he first gets in. He's like, "Where's you fucking?" Because like obviously they've been terrified that those two died or something happened to them that was horrible. They haven't seen them in ages.
Been
like,
feasting.
Yeah,
that's good shit.
Salted pork.
But yeah, it's
kind
funny
of good.
because you know when the Palantir falls into the water and Pippin retrieves it, you know you can see already that it's almost like the ring in a way. It's got that kind of hold on him. He's got that fascination with it, and he's staring at it like he's transfixed by it, and you can tell that there's more to it than just some magical orb, and it's what compels him to take another look at it later that night. You know, you can see how he can't sleep because he's obsessed with it now, and he has to see it, and it pulls him in, and that's what clues Sauron into what's going on. And it's a cool scene. Like I like the idea of these things that they're almost like medieval mobile phones.
Yeah,
everyone can communicate through them, but you don't know who else is watching you.
Sure.
Oh, dude,
yeah.
I honestly, I wish there was a little bit more on the Palantirs because I think that they're not only excellent, but from what I hear, Gary, you're gonna have to help me out here. There's a lot of influence from a Palantir to Denethor that can help explain.
Yes, so Denethor had one, right? And he had a lot of a knowledge of what was to come and just got freaked out and just broke basically.
I feel like that would have been pretty great in the movie.
I think it would have helped because his character is a little bit underserved by the scripts. That's one of the few criticisms I would still have of it, because in the books he's a much stronger character, and I think the idea was that he used his Palantir to try and understand what Sauron was going to do, and so his will was so strong that even Sauron couldn't force him to see things that weren't real, but he could choose what to show him through this thing. So he would see enormous armies of orcs marshalling against him, and it just caused him to lose hope. Ultimately, he realized that there was no way they could win against an army like that.
Which I think helps in understanding why he's so on top of the situation even when Gandalf comes there. He knows way more than he probably should. And secondly, it also, I think, really adds to him being terrified of Mordor.
Well, in the books as well, he's a much more capable commander. You know, in this, he's clearly lost his mind. Like he's screaming at people to abandon their posts and flee for their lives. Like the guy in the Denethor in the books never does that. He's actually he goes on the offensive on a few occasions, and he actually plans a pretty good defense.
And there is one line in this movie that kind of insinuates. Well, I mean, there's a guy when they return, when Gandalf rides out and saves them from coming from Minas Tirith.
Gilead?
Gilead.
Yeah, sorry,
Yeah.
Australia. Yeah, and when they come in the gates of Gondor, just one random soldier says, he said, Denethor has foreseen this, and Gandalf says, and yeah, he's done nothing.
And he's done nothing.
And
Yeah.
done nothing.
And done nothing. You know,
Well,
that's like the one line where they insinuate it. I mean, it's
and
still,
you get him saying, "I've seen more than you know," which, you know, it can be just a normal line for someone to say who's getting pretty arrogant, but it could also imply. When I found out that was what it is in the book, I was like, oh man, that would have been so good to have revealed that, like, he's been on the phone with Sauron this whole time, trying to be like,
"Hey Sauron, how's your day going?"
And Sauron's just like, yeah, I'm gonna fucking
Got such
destroy
a
you,
big
man.
army, I'm gonna kill your ass.
And just to give him that confidence of knowledge, but also the fear of loss. Which, yeah, I think Denethor's just a little bit super villainy in this.
It kind of cheapened him a little bit as well, that scene where he's screaming at people to abandon their post, and Gandalf just knocks him out with his staff. Like,
I mean,
for a start,
that was a crowd favorite moment.
yeah, but for a start, that would absolutely get him killed by all the soldiers in the vicinity. Like, there's no way they would permit him to do something like that to their region.
I'm not sure I agree, because he's Mithrandir.
yeah, he's Mithrandir there. Like, he's
Like,
still.
they have a lot of respect for him, and they also
Fear.
probably hate Denethor right now. So it's a risk on Gandalf's part, but I think he knew that it's better than allowing him to continue to tell everybody to be afraid.
Oh yeah, like it made sense that he would do something like that in the context of the movie. I guess it felt a bit unnecessary for Denethor's character. Like, it made him seem kind of weak and almost a little bit comical. Like that moment was almost played for laughs. You know, it's funny, he's been knocked out by Gandalf while he's in the middle of this big dramatic moment.
I think it's supposed to try and bring us really far down, and then Gandalf comes in, and we're about to build right back up into, no, this isn't over. We're going to fight. We're going to win. You know, like, it's just that playing. I think it's more of a movie thing. We're just trying to play with the ups and downs of the emotional state. But I understand what you're saying, because, like, Denethor being like, flee for your lives. Like,
Yeah.
It also sets up Gandalf as such a champion, though, as well.
Oh, Gandalf's fucking badass, dude.
Because before then, you know, he's with the soldiers, and he just says to Carmington, and courage is your greatest weapon now. And then, you know, Denethor's just losing his fucking marbles. And then as soon as Gandalf knocks him out, it's just like suddenly it just goes into Grand Admiral Gandalf, and he just goes full on military leader, leading, you know, organizing, and it just kind of proves. And he's just, to me, it's just Gandalf just really kind of cementing to the men, you know, duty, honor, protect.
Oh yeah.
And after they've been so kind of like broken down by what had happened, and organize, and just really organizing them back into a proper military unit to fight. And they, you know, they fight and they fight and they fight. And then the Rohirrim comes, so yeah, I think it's a great.
That's what I'm saying. Like,
Can I
the
just
way
say
they
as well,
manage the ups and downs in this, some top-notch structure for getting your audience to feel.
Oh, it's brilliant! Like, because there's some genuinely fucking grim lines in it, like the moment where Denethor is preparing to burn Faramir, and he like ejects Pippin from the citadel, and he just says, "I release you from my service. Go and die in whatever manner seems fit to you."
Yes.
And slams the door in his face. Like, fucking hell, like, that is brutal. Like, we're all gonna die. Just pick your way and fuck off.
Yeah.
I pick mine, you pick yours.
Yeah.
By the way, on what you said about Gandalf as well, as I fucking love the moment where he's like, stand fast, you are soldiers of Gondor. No matter what comes through that gate, you will stand your ground.
Yeah.
But there's like 3 trolls, and even Gandalf's like, you fucking kidding me? Like,
Yeah, he's got that look on his face, like, oh shit, this was bad.
Yeah.
Oh, fucking run.
But yeah, I mean, in all fairness, though, one of them gets absolutely murked when it comes
Gandalf, right?
through. Yeah, it just gets absolutely murked, and I think then another one falls down relatively quick, and then the third one's just going around fucking.
Oh, he's on a
causing-
rampage,
Yeah.
man. He's having a great old time.
Yeah, I don't
fight
even know
scenes
if that
are
guy
fucking
got
phenomenal.
done. It was
Well,
just going
I
around.
think that was the one that was hammering on the door, like way up in the high levels of it. So
Yes, I
fought all
think
the
that
way
was
through
him.
the
Yeah,
city.
yeah.
But yeah, like the siege of Minas Tirith, again in the theatrical cut is trimmed down a lot, and it's really drawn out into this protracted siege in the extended cut, and it's so much more enjoyable to watch because you can see how much of a fight they're actually putting up. You know, when they try to batter down the main gates, and they're, you know, the ram that they're using is just having fuck all impact, and there's like mountains of corpses piling up around it because the archers are just raining arrows on them. It's like, what the hell do we do? Bring me Grond. And you know, this monster battering ram is brought in. Like, it's just brilliant.
People remember Grond. This is just kind of cool that they managed to make it so stylistic that it's just like, oh my god, it's a horrifying battering ram that's going to take down the whole fucking city.
I just love that it's mentioned, like, because it's in the books, and like, it's the fact that it's so powerful. It's got a name, like it's a battering ram, like, but it's got a fucking name because it's that badass.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Not to, because I think we're just going to jump around a bit, which is probably fine. But the what do you guys think about Witch King blowing up Gandalf's staff?
Liked it. There needed to be a confrontation there, I think, and the fact that, like, it's almost like a demonstration of his power, I guess. The fact that he can destroy Gandalf's staff the same way that he broke Saruman's staff.
Yeah.
That is a hell of a demonstration of his power.
Saruman, your staff is broken.
So the way it works in my head is that I feel like it made sense that Gandalf could do that to Saruman because he's almost Saruman's replacement in this world, like mechanically. And so he's like, you know, your power has been taken, that sort of thing. Like, I am replacing you, you're done, sort of thing. With the Witch King, the only reason it doesn't, I don't understand it mechanically. I don't understand how the Witch King can. By the way, I think the Witch King is one of the most badass looking enemies in the history of movies. He's so fucking cool. But like, consider this is something that Wolf used to say, because by the way, Wolf adores these films and the books, but he always found it odd that Gandalf said there is one servant that Sauron has yet to reveal. You met him before. That line is very strange. I don't know what exactly Gandalf meant, because it's like he is yet to reveal him, though you've met him before and Aragorn fought him. It's like,
you know, maybe in this battle. That's kind of what I assumed it was. Just in this battle.
Yeah, and the thing is that the Witch King in Fellowship came across as no more or less powerful than any of the other 9. But in this one, he comes across as like, holy shit, this guy's a bad. And I think all I would want as a correction is in Fellowship for him to have a lot more of a presence, for him to be a lot more special, and for him to just be the leader of the 9. He has kind of power that you couldn't maybe even have it so that they have to run from him while the others can be defeated.
I think the idea is that the closer you get to Mordor, the more power they have. And that's why, and particularly as Sauron's power grows, so does the power of his servants. And so when you get to this stage of it, he's almost leveled up as a threat. When he's really far away from Mordor and the Shire, they're not weak, but they're definitely not as formidable as they will be later. And like they even just ride around on conventional horses because they haven't got their fucking monster things that they fly around on. They don't even have a name, I think.
Well, conventional horses, they're kind of dead.
Yeah, exactly.
Rotting, dripping horses, zombie horses. Yeah.
Well, I mean, in the films, there must be some sorcery involved that they just don't talk about, but they're just regular old friggin' horses when in the books.
That's the thing.
Yeah, because that's the thing. Like if they
as a tribute too.
Yes, and if they get killed, because I think after they get washed away by the floodwaters, they've lost their horses and they've lost their armor and everything. Yep. So they're basically forced to trek all the way back to Mordor.
Walk back to Mordor.
Yeah. which kind of sucks.
That would really suck. But yeah, no, the Witch King of Angmar. I mean, he's old. And yeah, you just assume that he's a sorcerer and an old king of men. Been around a long time. Yeah, pretty powerful. Plus, he's got the power of Sauron. Plus, he was pretty much undefeated. Like, even when Sauron was defeated, he was around. So
yeah, I guess
all
I would have wanted was a bit more prep to understand the gravity of this guy.
Don't you understand the big fucking helmet he had, MauLer? That's it. He's got that.
That fucking helmet is so cool.
Yeah, it is.
But yeah, because like Lord of the Rings has a soft magic system, is how it's described, right? It's the kind of thing where we're left to kind of understand where the limits are. So him turning up, casting some kind of spell with his sword and fire and stuff, and then Gandalf's staff breaking, it's sort of just like oh shit, like does he outclass Gandalf? And it's like, well, Gandalf isn't like hyper OP in these movies. He's pretty good.
He's
not
powerful.
great. But he's not like unstoppable, which I think helps with the stakes, because you wouldn't want it to be the Gandalf who could just wipe the floor with everything from Mordor.
Yeah.
And I think they did this specifically. It's right before the Rohirrim arrive, so it's like another low point of like Gandalf's lost his staff, like we're in trouble.
It's interesting because they never quite face off in the books like this. It gets as far as like the main gate gets busted open by Grond, and the Witch King is the one who rides in. And Gandalf's about to face off with him, and then I think the Rohirrim arrives, so he fucks off to try and like combat them. Yep. And then Gandalf is called away to try and save Faramir, because his intention was to ride out onto the field and help protect Theoden. So it's almost like he had to make a choice between those two people in that moment, and that's what he did.
Oh, dude, I love that the Witch King goes for Theoden. Like, the Witch King knows that he's got to knock out their leader.
Yeah. Yeah.
I want more Witch King, to be honest with you, in the trilogy. I think it would have been cool to have set him up earlier.
Don't worry, he'll get a prequel series, MauLer.
No, I don't want that. No. Because I think like all of his time in this movie is fucking phenomenal. What he says and does to Theoden, and then his exchange with Eowyn as well. Like, it's all really good.
I love that battle against Eowyn because the way it's shot, like he's facing off against her. She's just this little tiny figure, and you just see this enormous fucking battle mace just drop out of his hand and like hang right in front of you. And then you see like over his shoulder looking down at her, and he's just this enormous fucking black towering figure that's like twice her height. And she just looks absolutely terrified of him. It's so fucking powerful in that moment, just the sheer dominance of him.
And hey,
he's still standing her ground against him. That's fucking
She doesn't go at him Captain Marvel style with a huge smug face and being like, you think you can be... She goes at him terrified.
Which makes her 1,000 times tougher.
Yeah, it does.
Imagine if he fought Captain Marvel, like he swings the mace and it just bounces off her head. She's just got that stupid bland expression.
What do you mean, man? It's like, so basic to me. Like, why? Why have it? Because her being terrified and narrowly avoiding death several times makes it so much more engaging.
Oh, fuck yeah. Like, because she's doing what you would do in that situation, like fucking dodging and weaving, like desperately trying to get away from this thing. Like, it's absolutely terrifying. One hit from that thing is going to kill you stone dead.
Well, when she does get hit, she's like, you go like, she's like almost incapacitated at that point.
Well, you know, in her arm, hasn't it?
Shatters her shield. Yeah, just shatters her arm probably. And, you know, yeah, she has to get healed up too, along with Faramir. Like, she almost dies. So, yeah.
Well, and she does it all defending Theoden as well. She's like, oh, the meaning I'm pulling out of all this, so good.
Someone's pointing out it's a morning star. Sorry.
It gets you right there. It does, you know.
Yeah.
And like Theoden, like all he thinks about is like how he failed her, you know. And it's such a freaking cool scene. This is my only complaint. I would have loved to have seen a little love for Theoden afterwards, like a funeral or a mention of a funeral or something in the movie. Like they just like leave his carcass there on the field to rot.
I understand that
something, but come on,
yeah,
boy, Theoden. It's one of my fucking. It's I don't know why I gravitated that character. I'm a sucker for a good redemption arc. So.
Yeah.
Well, he's just trying to be a good man, you know. Him and Barbie, man, there's a lot that's actually similar.
Yep.
And
Well, they're all. I guess there's a running theme of like trying to live up to your legacy, and that fear that you're either going to have the same weaknesses as your ancestors, or you're not going to live up to their level of greatness, and that you are a failure in comparison. There's that thing that runs through Lord of the Rings that all of these different noble houses or the elves, like all these different species, they're gradually declining. Men are becoming weak, and they've lost their nobility and their sense of purpose, and all these great like lineages are slowly failing. But they somehow have to find a way to rise to this final challenge. I think there's a great message there about that. Like you might not be these great heroes of old, but you can still do these incredible things.
Yeah, I mean, like Lord of the Rings is not like the biggest, baddest war in the entire legendarium of Tolkien.
No, there've been other ones. Like even the Last Alliance, when they fought Sauron and defeated him, even that was considered to be not as great. Like their strength wasn't what it once had been. So it's this constant cycle of like decline, but people somehow finding a way to make it through. And yeah, this is the final one, and it's now, particularly now, it falls to the world of men rather than elves, who used to be such a powerful force in this world. They have all but abandoned Middle Earth now. The dwarves are just kind of scattered; they can't really take part in all this, and it's men who have to carry the day and who have to fight for Middle Earth, and they are the weakest and the most easily corrupted race of all. But for all their failings, they still triumph. I think that's pretty fucking cool.
It is.
It's very inspiring.
It is. And Ian, as far as like the performances in this movie, Ian McKellen like is great in all three. But I Sean Astin was freaking brilliant in this third one. I think
Sam is
Sam's movie. Whoa, he's good in it, man.
There is scenes like, and there's so many, I almost can't name them all. Just those great scenes between him and Frodo. Almost at the beginning of the movie where they are going through their supplies, and he's got their supplies of bread that's going to sustain them. But he makes a comment like there should be just enough for the trip home, and Frodo just gives him a look like there's not going to be a trip home.
I did. Yep. It's nice to think that. And he keeps saying it, but then, later on in the movie, he accepts it. Like right when they're going up Mount Doom, he's like, "We're not going home."
Yeah.
It's
there's so much to be drawn from Sam as a character.
Yeah.
Because in a sense, he's kind of a servant to Frodo. He's like you can see him almost as like a butler or
he's gardener.
He's gardener, yeah.
Gardener.
That's a great line.
Master Frodo in the books. So
what's that?
He calls him Master Frodo in the book.
Yeah, exactly. And the movie's toned that down a little bit, but it's still there. He's very much the subordinate role, but in a lot of ways, he's like a better person than Frodo. And it's almost that blind devotion to him that saves the day on so many occasions. Like it's a perfect. I don't even know what you call it. It's like a pure friendship between them that develops. There's a kind of innocence to it, and hey man, I know what fucking modern writers and so-called journalists would make of that kind of relationship now, but I just always took it as just a pure devoted friendship between them, and that Sam would just do anything for Frodo to keep him safe, to help him, protect him, whatever. And it just makes him this awesome character.
It does. And there's that's the thing we've lost, right? I mean, it's good to, you want to have complexity in your story. I understand that. But the one thing I don't understand is why this constant need for moving past something that can just be pure and nice. Like we need to evolve past that somehow. Why? I've never really heard a great explanation why. Like of course they wouldn't write it that way. Now we all know how they'd write it now. So
yeah, I think a lot of it has got to do with internet, social media again.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of superficial relationships get made on the internet, whereas pre-internet, our socializing was done in person. Our relationship building was done in person. And some of them have stood, some of them have stood the test of time for donkey's years, decades. Nowadays, ironically, there seems to be such a binary way of thinking that there's no friendship, there's no nuance within friendship. It's either got to be some sort of like brother, or you're gay, and it's just like, what happened to the bonding, the brotherhood? I mean, this is the first book is the Fellowship of the Rings. This is a fellowship, and one of the beautiful aspects of Frodo's journey to Mordor is Sam, is just the unwavering loyalty of Sam, and no matter how many times Gollum got into Frodo's ear, Sam just would never be swayed. He would always be true to what he carried the ring, and then when he couldn't carry the ring, he would carry Frodo, who carried the ring. This was a person who was just loyal to a T, loyal to an absolute T. And I think people could learn from that today. They could learn from that bond in a friendship, in a relationship. But nowadays, we're giving puberty blockers to kids, so world's going nuts, mate.
I was just thinking there about that scene where they've run out of supplies, and Frodo has run out of water, and Sam has got just a few drops left in his water bottle, and he gives it to Frodo. And you can, as Frodo's drinking it, even you can see Sam looking at it with like, oh God, I want to drink that. Like he's on, he's just hanging on by a thread, just like Frodo is, but he gives up his to help his friend. They go past Minas Morgul on their little adventure. That place looks badass as fuck.
Yeah.
Yeah, the way they do the
great
green
lighting.
Green underlighting.
And it helps to be like, that's the Witch King's house, by the way. It's like,
yeah.
So that was once a city of Gondor. So
city Gondor, yeah.
Meant to be a place of beauty. It was meant to be a great fortress, and it was taken over, and it was captured by Sauron and perverted into what you see now. And even I think the books mention that it's surrounded by fields of corpse flowers, like these sickly sweet smelling flowers that look kind of pale and ghostly. You don't get to see that in the film, but again, it's just it plays into that idea of like the whole place is just surrounded by death and decay. It's such a cool concept. But
and corruption, something that was once beautiful,
And like a shady green really does well to combine with death. Because obviously the ghosts have that as well.
Yeah. It's a weird moment that, when Frodo's tempted to walk towards it and he's starting, and then they pull him back, but then there's this big explosion of like energy, and like this huge light shoots up into the sky. I never understood what the fuck that was or what caused it. It just kind of happens. Like, I don't know if it's their signal to like, go.
I assume if we're to believe that Witch King is a sorcerer, that's his big like dinner bell. Like, we're on our way, folks.
I kind of saw it as a beacon, like a war beacon. They used to do that. Right. They used to like in the castle, within the castle, there'd be a big beacon on top of a tower that they'd set on fire and say, go. That's kind of what I thought it was. I mean, like, yeah, we don't see it again. It's just meant to scare the shit out of everybody, and it probably worked.
Yeah.
Why not? Goes with the green underlighting of the castle. It's like, how'd they do that? Where'd they get the green lights?
Magic, my
like
friend.
RGB lights set up everywhere, like strips of them. It's like, oh man, the energy bill in this place is a fucking nightmare, but it's so worth it.
It's so worth it. Yeah.
Well, because you got the theme as well for the Witch King is fucking badass. I love all of it for him. I want his own movie now.
What does the Witch King do in his downtime, in his mundane time?
Read some books,
Yeah.
Just
torture some people. Yeah. experiment on orcs.
I think I like to think he would just stalk around, just randomly killing orcs just for fun. You know,
Designing his helmet.
yeah. More spikes.
More spikes, and they have to be longer.
Yeah.
Sharper.
It's I love as well, like when Gollum shows them the stair that's going to take them over the mountains and into Mordor, and it just the camera pans up and it just keeps panning. It's like the fucking Mount Everest of staircases. Like,
Yeah.
this looks awful.
It looks exhausting. Yeah.
You know, I'd be done after 2 steps, I think.
Yeah, it's like I've had to walk like 1,000 miles to fucking just get here, and now you want me to walk up, 2 miles vertically just to get over this thing. That's quite a challenge.
All to get to her.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, Sheila.
Who here likes giant spiders?
No.
Nope.
Yeah.
And it still holds up really well today.
Oh, she looks excellent, dude.
The way it's just how quiet it is. That's so cool. That whole part was great.
That was the worst bit when he gets out and he's just like, think he's got away, and then it's behind him was so quiet. He's like,
It's funny. For me, because I hadn't read the books or anything, so when I still listened to the cinema, a friend of mine who had read the books I was like, "What's in this cave?" And he was like, because there was promotional material to do with it as well, and he was just like, "Oh, I'm not telling you." And I was just like, "Oh, jeez." Her little intro is fantastic for all of the commentary Gollum gives before, and there's webbing, and there's enough to pull together what we're dealing with, and then they just do a standard sort of movie thing. It's like, is she there? Is she there? Is she there? Everything's fine. We're quiet, and it's like, no, she's in frame right now. She's right there.
yeah, it does an Alien where the alien just kind of comes out of the darkness out of nothing. He's like,
I think I would write my final column if I was confronted by something like that.
Oh, dude, that's what I think it makes it so much like the fact that was all really well done. Shelob, it makes Sam's sort of fight against it that much more meaningful because you know that you'd be terrified. Of course, he probably is, but that man is brave, and he's gonna save Mr. Frodo.
Yeah, Sam going for it. Yeah.
Pretty much exactly as the books as well. Like she lands on the sword basically, and her own weight is what impales her on it while she's trying to sting him, and that's it. Like that's what turns the tide in his favor. But yeah, it's a good scene.
She's still alive.
Yes, she is. Underway.
Who's going to flush that cave out when it comes to it? We're taking back Mordor. Who's going in and flushing that cave out? No.
Well, in the fucking game, she had like 1 million babies. They were terrifying too.
Oh,
yeah.
Oh yeah.
They're like half the size of a person, so there's also not somebody you want to deal with.
It's great as well when they take Frodo away to this like tower as a prisoner, and it's good as well because they take away his mithril shirt, which then gets given to the mouth of Sauron, which he then presents to Gandalf and the others, like, yeah, as proof that we got him. We got him and we tortured him to death. Fuck you.
Great moment in that is that Gandalf realizes, like, we don't know exactly what that means, so don't give anything away.
Yeah.
Yep.
It could mean anything.
Medic, shush.
And then Aragorn does a war crime. But that's okay.
Yeah, like naughty Aragorn,
Under a flag of truce.
Yeah, cuts the dude's head off.
I can totally see Sauron being like, really? Wow.
That was I trained him for years.
Yeah.
Years.
Yeah, like his dental care was a fucking nightmare.
Like,
he looked great. Mouth of Sauron looked great though.
Yeah, he did.
His voice too.
Yeah. Because they, as I understand it, like they got the actor with the prosthetic teeth and stuff, and then they just digitally like enlarged his mouth.
It was Bruce Spence, Road Warrior. He's been in
the Gyro Captain guy.
Prequels. Yeah. Bruce Spence.
I know the guy. Great that he's still, well, I don't know if he's still doing stuff, but like he was back in the 2000s. Such a shame that scene got cut.
That got cut as well. Yeah.
Unbelievable that scene got cut. But I mean, like nobody remembers that now. Now they make action figure, like they had action figures out for the characters from the cut scene, so they had all these plans anyway to do the extended versions, which was a very good plan, by the way. This thing, they executed this thing so perfectly. I mean, it was a lot of it was just by pure luck. Like it was about passion. It was lightning in a bottle. You had the right people at the right time, the right amount of money. Harvey Weinstein out of the project. His name's still on it, you know, and a guy like going, well, this ain't 2 movies. No, we need 3. I mean, how many people say that ever in Hollywood? Never. Yeah, everything just it just worked out for this film.
I was going to ask you as well, like, what is your take on the Army of the Dead?
Oh, can I just one thing before that? Because on Shelob, I just wanted to say that
it won fan favorite at the Academy Awards. No,
not the film. Like I said, just one more thing before we go on to them, because that's a big topic as well. But I just always thought it was funny that Galadriel almost, like, it feels like she contacts Frodo spiritually to give him the boost he needs when he's almost out, when he's gotten out of Shelob. And I feel like it's like a joke in my head. She sees what he's doing and she's like, oh, I'm going to help him back up. He can make it. And she gives him that encouragement. Then he gets stabbed by Shelob and knocked out. I imagine she was like, fuck. Well,
one chance. Like, I could only make this call once.
Yeah,
I did my best.
Like, Elrod's like, how's it going? She's like, not good.
Not good.
Not great. Not good. And he's like, oh no, Sauron has a ring. She's like, no, a fucking spider got him.
I didn't really interpret it as any kind of link to her, really.
No, I think
it was his imagination, like his mind just trying to give him a pep talk. Like,
yeah, I think you can interpret it that way easily, that
get up,
he's giving himself a level of encouragement.
It could have been somebody else, but just it came to Frodo as Galadriel. I mean, that's why it's good. Don't explain that. Don't explain that. There are gods in this world. There is a god in this world, and he is like moving things around a little, as much as he can.
Well, Gandalf even alludes to that, doesn't he?
Yes.
He says that Bilbo was meant to find the ring, and in which case you were meant to find it too. And there's basically a higher power that's directing this stuff that's beyond me and Sauron and anyone else. And that's a comforting thought.
Yeah, and that's based on a very Christian Catholic belief of free will. You know, the divine will come in once in a while, but like, dude, horrible things happened in Middle Earth.
Oh yeah,
and nothing was done. You know, Morgoth. You know, lots of death. He created orcs. You know, well, it's alluded, but and he did it out of elves and men by just torturing them and mutating them. That's what Mouth of Sauron was a black Numenorian. Of course, Amazon will interpret that as a literal black guy, but it's just the bad Numenorians who worship Sauron, death, and evil, and that's what he used to be, and it was that's what these people were. They're mutated and twisted, and there's a lot of theory that, like, there's no answer other than that. Like, but you would guess that person was still tortured and, you know, somewhat brainwashed. And
I just like this one as well. That's what created in that moment was fucking Mickey from Rocky just going, "Get up, you son of a bitch!"
Yep, I didn't hear no bell.
Mickey loves you.
Mickey loves you.
Yep.
Oh no.
But yeah, the Army of the Dead is, I guess, a kind of a contentious one, because their interference in the siege of Minas Tirith becomes like probably the one weak point of the movie, because they just become this fucking Deus Ex Machina that fixes everything.
Wipes everything out.
They are my biggest issue with the film. I don't know how I would have handled it if I could get whatever I want. It's like, I actually kind of like the idea that Isildur cursed them for being cowardly, right? And then they can't die. Like, I curse you to live forever. That's fucking cool.
Yep.
But holy fuck, are they OP? They can just wash through an army and destroy them all.
They're the mimic summon.
In the
Yeah.
books, I think all they do is they help Aragorn and the others to capture the black ships. So they don't really take part in the actual battle of Minas Tirith. They just help them get control of those ships and get troops on them so that they can then land them and become like a pincer move. So they do a lot less. But yeah, it feels a bit cheap, I suppose, that they just fly across the battlefield like a fucking tidal wave and just kill everything in their path. It's like I wouldn't release them from the
No.
either. I'd be like, look,
Well, all Aragorn had to do.
One more thing I need you to do: just go to Mordor, fucking kill everything that you see, and then we're good. Then you can do it. Because really, it's no effort for you. You're dead. You got nothing else.
Exactly, dude.
It might have worked better if they would have mentioned in the film, and we're talking about the framework of the film, that it'd be risky to let him to Mordor because Sauron could get to him or something like that. They could turn like now that their oath is fulfilled with this, there's a potential. They even talk about like you can't trust these guys even if you say their oath. They could still turn on you.
I think it may have been a better choice.
Already oath breakers. They're gonna
maybe not make them.
They break another oath.
Maybe not make them ghosts. Make them zombies, for lack of a better term, because make them less effective and make them more like obvious in terms of their existence as pain. And so they only agree with Aragorn's proposal because they're like, "We'll
a little better, yeah.
We'll fight the people on the boats, and that's fucking it." Okay, and you can even go with the idea that like they don't want to fight, they don't like fighting, but they'll do that if you can release them. I think that would control them a bit better, because especially if they're zombie-like. So they really, because you imagine Aragorn, Gimli, and Legolas leading an army of zombies against the people on the boats. That could be a little fight scene compared to obviously the bigger ones. But the way it works now is Aragorn could easily have said like, "Save the world of men, and I'll release you," which involves clearing Mordor. And if they did that,
Théoden's dying in the fields, going, "You couldn't have done that a little sooner."
This is where I think a lot of people feel that way about them. It's like, man, if you had engaged just them, right? If everyone had abandoned Minas Tirith and gone to like some hill, they were like, "Ghosts, do your thing," nobody would have died.
But that's still a thing. It was a complaint. I never heard it as a major complaint. I heard it as a nitpick back then. So that's a thing that worked then that you would probably want to do differently now. But that would come at the cost of making Frodo and Sam gay. Theoden it would fucking Éowyn a lesbian, fighting for her lesbian lover on the Battle of Pelennor Fields. Mary would be a female. Pippin would be a black female. Yeah, it would just come at the cost of too much.
No man can kill me.
Thank you very much.
I am no man. I am a they them.
Yeah. No man or woman can kill the Witch King. It's gotta be non-binary.
I can't do that one, did you? Witch King.
Maybe Sauron had the power to banish them. Come on, MauLer. It's like, what do you mean? Come on, MauLer? That's not in the movie. Like, what I can say? I can't work with that. If they'd put it in the movie, we could work with it.
There you go. Oh no.
Army of Will Smiths.
That's what somebody needs to do. They need to edit that with just a bunch of Will Smith slapping. Instead of
10,000 Will Smiths.
Just taking down that elephant. Just taking down that elephant, slapping it with Will.
They've got him slapping Bully Maguire already. It's like, dude, it's
my Elden Ring video got demonetized. My Will Smith slapping. So I've had a word with my manager today about that.
No straight man kill me.
no straight white male can kill me.
Yeah. Oh no, the Gondorians would be the bad guys too. You'd find out that they've been suppressing the Easterlings for too long, suppressing trade. They were all starving,
The ghosts look fantastic, by the way. Just want to point that out. I love the effects on the main king guy, because you look at it, it's like it looks like there's like two layers of him at the same time.
It looks like
there's like almost a real face and a zombie face underneath.
You ever seen The Frighteners? Michael J. Fox, Peter Jackson film. Really good. Really fun. I like it.
For all the problems that they possess, I really did like the, and it's such a cheesy line, but I loved it. Where it's just like, "You and whose army?"
Yeah.
This army, and they just literally go. It's like, That was just get the shit out of the people on the boat.
One attempt to explain it is, as someone just said in chat, their oath is to defend Gondor, not to attack anywhere. The only problem I find with that is that weren't they initially called upon to attack Mordor with the rest of the armies?
No, I think, well, they were called upon in Gondor's hour of need, so I assume Gondor was under attack and they needed people to help defend
out.
Yeah, I know that because that's how they ended up getting cursed. Which, like I said, is like there's a whole story there that sounds super interesting.
Yeah.
Just needs a little tightening. All right, that's all I'm after. Just a little tightening because
it wasn't enough to detract from the film for me.
Fuck no.
No,
way too much good in this for that to.
Yeah, it's kind of like they're a bit powerful.
Yeah,
let's see how Sam and Frodo are doing.
And you get really plenty of great payoffs. That's what the Legolas Mumakil thing happens, where when fucking Gothmog is chasing Eowyn, and right before he gets to it, Aragorn and Gimli just chop him to pieces.
Yeah.
Just
Holy
absolutely
shit.
Everyone has a fucking go at him, don't they?
Yeah, he gets what I would call a boss death.
But it's so good because he's just in their way. You know, they're coming through, and he's just in the way, so he's just getting it.
It's so much better as well because in the theatrical cut, like you don't even really see what happens to him. It's
exactly
just like
you don't.
Cut of Eomer, I think, throwing a spear at him, and then that's it. Like it just hard cuts somewhere else.
I don't think he throws a spear at the Mumakil rider, doesn't he? I don't think because I remember wanting to know what happened to Gothmog when I saw the theatrical version. He's just not in it, and I was like, okay, he's in it, but not his death.
As I recall, it's the charge of the Rohirrim, and he's like directing the archers and stuff to open fire on them, and it's like, fire at will, and it's not enough to stop them, and you see him getting more and more panicked as they close in, and I think it's Eomer who just like lobs a spear at him. And
I think you're right in terms of the way they shoot it, but you don't see like the spear go into him or anything.
No, exactly. It just cuts away. So I'm glad you got more here.
And
I've Gothmog, he overcame his disabilities.
He did.
Commander of the army.
I didn't think there were anyone with disabilities, according to the Lord of the Rings super fans.
Yeah, well, you even see it when he rides in on a warg, and then when he gets off it, he's really like unsteady on his feet, like because he can barely walk on his fucked up legs, and like an orc tries to help him, and he's like, fuck off,
fuck off, mate.
There's also the guy with one eye in the Two Towers.
Yeah, that was it. Yeah,
straight up has.
And Sauron, he has one eye.
The eye of Sauron.
That's true. That's true, and he's missing a finger. Sauron's missing a finger. That's the disability.
Yeah,
all his
fingers. Play video games.
I think they chopped off more than just the one finger when he did the chop. Right?
Chopped off all his fingers.
Yeah, all the fingers in one hand.
There you go. Since you just mentioned Eomer throwing that spear, should we talk about the arrival of the Rohirrim?
Yeah, we should talk about that. It's quite a cool scene, isn't it?
Geek boner.
Sometimes there just aren't words that can describe it,
I think it's just something about charging cavalry, just smashing into an army that is so
chanting death.
Screaming death as you're fucking riding in,
cheering to death. It's fucking badass as hell.
Yeah,
it's amazing.
It certainly lived up to the name Home of the Horse Lords, didn't it?
I love that, everything the orcs can throw at them, it's not enough to stop them, and then they just pile into them like an absolute wave, just devastating everything in their path.
Dude, when that
scene,
shot
the orcs start to panic though was so fucking good.
Dude, the first when the shot starts and you get the boom boom, and it's like dawn is coming behind him, and you see the horses come up, and when Theoden starts his speech, he shouts a few orders. Shields shall be broken. Or splintered.
Shields will be shut.
Yeah.
Oh, so good.
Like they're showing
and death.
Yeah, it's like ride the ruin and the world's ending.
Yeah, he's using his fears as a motivation. Like, it's amazing.
Yeah, he's just saying,
he's saying ride to death. He's saying ride to death. That's what he's saying.
Yeah, kill as many of them as you can on the way out.
And it's just reflected in they're all like charging forward. You see so many horses go down from the arrows, but it doesn't change the speed and ferocity of any of the others.
Yeah.
Because they're a big unit.
That's the beauty of the charge. That's when a charge just oh my god, my skin now. I'm getting tingles.
Even Eowyn, when she's like, I'll protect you. And then she's like really fucking scared. And then she's all death. She's all like,
Same for Mary as well.
Yeah.
Well, I guess that's what they always would do in battles like this, is say or do whatever they could to get everyone fired up and get them as motivated as they could be, because you're about to go into the most horrible situation imaginable.
Yeah.
And Éomer even says that to Éowyn before, like, the battle, because she wants to go along with them, and he's saying, you want to send Mary along with us, when the dying starts and people are screaming and there's blood everywhere, and he's going to cut and run, because that's how terrifying it is.
As he should. It's like, as he should.
Yeah, exactly, because it is horrible. And he says that war is the province of men. That's why we do it, because we're the only ones who can. And he's exactly right as well. I mean,
also the music, by the way.
Yeah.
Oh, Howard Shore, the whole fucking movie, because the music builds throughout you notice that, like each battle, music builds to like a.
If you had to pick between the charge here in Return of the King and the one at Helm's Deep, when they ride down the side of that hill and the sunlight comes up behind them.
The charge of the Rohirrim is number one, dude. That's like I love the one like powers. I love that fucking movie. I love that movie, but the charge of the Rohirrim is awesome. Also, like the one before that, the beacons, dude. The beacons,
the music build up during the beacons is insane.
Well, and the fact that he's like
goosebumps.
Gondor calls for aid, and he just goes, and Rohan will answer.
Yeah.
Like,
he's so God, I get emotional.
And that's a flip from what, like, he's like, no.
That's just it though, Gary.
Yeah.
When he was asked, he was just like, why should we answer to Gondor when Gondor wouldn't come to our aid? And it's sort of up in arms. And then as soon as he comes in, he's just like, Gondor calls for aid, and literally just pauses for a split second, and Gondor will answer. And he's just like,
Rohan,
Rohan.
Sorry, Rohan will answer. Rohan will answer, and it's just like, Theoden, what a boss.
I also like
he knows.
He was Denethor. He
almost,
was he was like. Oof, man, this is it. The West is done. I'm dead.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be the last of my line.
Yeah, my son's dead.
Yeah.
Ooh.
It was that speech that he gives before the Battle of Helm's Deep. It's very reminiscent of that. Like, the days have gone down in the West.
It's like the poem of the white horse. Hang on.
I mean, it's put very eloquently, but it equates to we're all fucked and we're all going to die.
Yeah.
The white horse. Yeah. It's a paraphrase from that. So, where's the horse?
I was going to mention something that I thought was pretty neat, is that Merry and Pippin at this point in the movie have both like fully engaged with the cultures of Gondor and Rohan, respectively. Yeah. They both look like little soldiers from either side.
Can I say how badass they are when it comes to fighting as well? Like, I don't know how
both of them
do this, but
this is their movie compared to Two Towers. Two Towers, they do a lot of walking around and talking. Yeah. This movie, Merry and Pippin are significant.
Like, they actually fight orcs hand to hand and take them down.
Well, just think about the individual actions, right? Pippin leads to their tip that Minas Tirith is the target. Pippin saves Gandalf's life. Pippin saves Faramir's life. Pippin, like, and then Mary fucking helps kill the Witch King.
So I love this quote, by the way. So where now are the horse and the rider? Where is the horn that was blowing? Where is the helm and the harp and the hauberk and the bright hair flowing? Where is the harp on the harp string and the red fire glowing? Where is the spring and the harvest and the tall corn growing? They have passed like rain on the mountain, like a wind in the meadow. The days have gone down in the west, behind the hills into shadow. Who shall gather the smoke of the dead wood burning, or behold the flowing years from the sea returning? Good shit, man.
There's another, that is awesome stuff, and it's framed so well in the movie as well.
They
There was
paraphrase
another one that, like, it's a speech that Gandalf gives to Pippin when they're on the verge of being overrun.
Oh god, yeah, that dude. Everyone quotes it. It's so inspirational.
Well, it's death is just another journey, and
Yep.
Yeah. So he says, end. No, the journey doesn't end here. Death is just another path, one that we must all take. The grey rain curtain of this world rolls back, and all turns to silver glass, and then you see it. What do you see? White shores, and beyond, a far green country under a swift sunrise.
oh,
Damn.
Oh, and Ian McKellen fucking nails it, because you can tell Pippin's terrified, and he's just like, ends. It's like, no.
and no.
It's for someone like Gandalf, who's lived 1,000 lifetimes and seen countless people live and die, you know, to give comfort to him, to Pippin, in those last moments, like knowing that they could both get killed, you know, shortly. It's a hell of a moment.
There's so much being achieved in these films, and if you look at it again, if we back up to the 3 movies, like, it comes across in Fellowship that Gandalf kind of fucking hates Pippin, but like I think it's this movie that really certifies, like, no, he doesn't. He really cares about him, and he really wants him to be better. He just gets frustrated with his mistakes, but at the same time would do a lot to take care of him, because like his decision to take him with Minas Tirith is to do with the fact that he now thinks Sauron thinks that Pippin has the ring, so he's trying to protect him.
Yeah,
I guess there's so many decisions like that where and like their relationship is just really strong. Go all the way back to when Pippin knocked the bucket down the well, right? All the way up to Gandalf telling him, like, you know, death isn't the end, sort of thing. It's
the relationship of like a school headmaster with a really like unruly student.
Sure.
You know, like he wants to help him and he wants to protect him. That's what I always saw it as. Like, he's exasperated by him, but we still care for him.
Gandalf is really good and grumpy, super grumpy dude.
Yeah,
he's a curmudgeon.
Still fights like a boss, though.
Well, he's frustrated. He's like this really vibrant spirit trapped in this old body, right?
Yeah.
You know, he's not an old man. He's like a freaking angel, right? So he's got, you know, it's frustrating. And then that's how they meant to play it. You know, that Peter Jackson talks about it. Yeah. These have some of the best special features. You got to find. I mean, I'd say that I don't know what they've cut out in the newer versions, but if you get that just initial Blu-ray set, especially they've got all the special features on that. It's really good.
Yeah,
really good stuff. Robert Meyer Burnett worked on some of them.
Wow.
Yeah. Oh, some of his stories, like, he interviewed Christopher Lee.
Yeah,
and a lot of that's never been seen. Like, there's reams of footage of this dude talking about his experiences, and no one's ever watched it. Like, that's a crime, man.
Oh, Peter Jackson had talked about there being a 20-year anniversary that they were going to add some footage to, because there is some footage that has not been seen. You can go out and find some of it, but never didn't happen because Warner Brothers is stupid.
Stupid Warner.
On the the down moment of Minas Tirith getting swarmed and Gandalf losing his staff, and then the up of Rohirrim charge and everything's great. The fucking face on Theoden when he realizes the Booba killer on the way. It's such a, like, we're at an all-time high. The audience is like, yeah, we're winning, and then it's just like the music sort of starts to get a little bit nervous, and you're like,
Theoden has the best we're fucked faces too.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So.
I'm not sure I entirely understand his plan there, where he just says, fuck it, charge. Just charge at them.
Well, it's the thing, right? You have to hack at their legs, and they do that a lot. That's the best option you've got. That's his job, basically, is to get us to fight them. We're in a shit position right now.
I mean, I think if I had the choice, I would retreat towards the city and just let the archers and the catapults take them out, rather than trying to fight them with horses. because so many of them get wiped out. They've got like these enormous like spiked chains between their tusks, and they're just sweeping from side to side. And it's great because the camera keeps cutting to one of the, I guess, the drivers of it. And he's just like having a whale of a time. Like,
I don't know that they can retreat very far because you've still got all of the Mordor orcs. There's still a huge amount of them. So
That
it's a
guy
matter
looked
of.
like he loved his job.
Oh, he did.
Yeah, a lot of satisfaction from it.
Like, I love what I do. You don't work a day in your life. You love what you do.
Yes, perfect situation.
Is that an elf coming this way?
Yeah.
Dude, I was thinking as well, imagine how weird it is to be in a war that has so many sort of stages and tiers to the point where all the Mordor orcs will be wiped out by the ghosts, and then there's that small faction right at the top breaking through that door. And as far as they're aware, they're winning. They're like, we're doing it, guys. We just got to get through this door. Everyone's dead.
And Will Smith comes up and slaps him.
Yeah. I always thought as well, like, I know we're jumping all over the place, but the bit where they save Faramir from getting set on fire and Denethor just goes up in flames and he just like tears out of that building. He has to run a really
I always thought that.
He's in shape. That guy is in shape.
He had to run across the bridge to get to the other side, to run across downwards.
And he's on fire the whole time.
They really wanted to
why did I have to build such a long garden here?
Such an epic death, though. It's like, so passes Denethor, son of, it's sad.
So passes, Denethor.
Yes.
They just had to give us another fucking badass name before they close out this movie. Ecthelion. Like,
yeah.
This movie has so many, like, it's got everything, but it's got balls too. That's what we miss from a lot of stuff nowadays.
There's so much as well. Like, obviously, they say there, like, Denethor, son of Ecthelion. We don't know who Ecthelion was. It's just, it's just another name that's put in there, but it just adds to the depth of it. When we say, like, oh, the Witch King of Angmar is here to lead the Nazgul. Oh, fuck, Angmar, where's that? Don't know. Like, it's just a place that's part of the history of the world.
Angmar and Minas Morgul and fucking cool.
I mean, imagine if you introduced yourself as like, "Hi, I'm the Witch King of Angmar. I travel quite extensively and
my business card,
world domination."
I like because you're right, and a lot of it I think reflects the whole focus on legacy. Because you got Gimli, son of Gloin, and Aragorn, son of Arathorn. Is it right?
Yeah,
and a lot of like who you are. I mean, they do that in Game of Thrones as well, right? I think that there was more of a focus on that earlier on, that you are as important as your father was, or at least a passover of that. So and Denethor's
their legacy, don't you?
Yeah, and part of Denethor's character is he is like the weakest part of the line of men that he's come from. He's that line has failed, which I think he says his line has ended, right?
Yeah, my line is coming to an end.
Faramir is still going though.
Yeah, he is.
What a brutal exchange between him and Faramir when
dude.
Ilias gonna have to be recaptured. All right, cool. Like, should we just do it with like 100 horsemen? Yeah, go. And he just says to him, if I should return somehow, like if I don't get killed in this suicidal mission, please think better of me. And even then, he just goes, that'll depend on the manner of your return.
Yeah, that's the kick in the balls, that one.
And because before that, he even said, like, you wish that Boromir had traded places with me, that I died and he'd lived.
Yes.
And he's just like, he's sitting there and he goes, yes, I wish that.
But he says it with glee. He's like, yes, I wish it was that way. It's just like, oh. And he's eating those tomatoes, and the tomatoes are staining like blood on his face. Oh, there you go, Mark. Yeah,
everyone remembers that. It's such a weird, uncomfortable scene where he's just like shoving food into his face, and it's like the camera's right close on his mouth.
Body's tearing apart. It's limbs exploding. It's.
I feel it's a lot to interpret that, like, it's hard not to, because I don't want to do too much to Tolkien's work, but the idea of like the rich and powerful and safe king is tearing through his meal as all of his men are getting slaughtered under his orders. It's like that. It feels like there's a lot to connect there.
Not even. He's not even.
The structure. Yeah, exactly. Because if you notice, the steward's chair is at the bottom left, and there's actually steps that go up to the king's throne.
Yeah.
But he's the steward, he's not the king. So he doesn't sit on the king's throne, he has to sit down at the bottom left. So even though he's this powerful ruler of Gondor, he must always have such a chip on his shoulder and such a bit of an esteem problem, knowing that he will never be king.
The chicken just sits and looks up at the throne like, oh, I want to sit on there.
I want to sit on there.
By the way,
It's like I'm gonna sit on it. Just all the guards leave.
Yeah, the guards just go when he tries to get up on it, just like
Yeah.
you know, there's often like talk of like what's the best sort of delivery of the title of a film in a film. I think Return of the King has one of the best, being Gandalf saying, "Authority is not given to you to deny the return of the king, steward." It's like,
Steward,
what a line!
Boom.
Gandalf's awesome in this one, right? Because he's like, a little bit out of touch on the second one, a little bit away for a lot of it, and then this one he's just like, he's back, baby.
What I love throughout all of these movies is just the acts of heroism and bravery that are just peppered all throughout this. And I know it's the nature of the story, like it's fantasy and it's all about heroic people doing these great things, but there's so many, and it's not always great deeds by celebrated heroes. It could just be the soldiers that lay down their lives to stop like the trolls from breaking through that gate in Minas Tirith. All of those people have lives and families and all the rest of it, but they lay down their lives because it's their fucking job, and they took that oath to do that and defend their city, and they're not going to get celebrated for it. But it's all throughout this, and whether it's Aragorn and Theoden leading that charge out of Helm's Deep, knowing that it's like their last suicidal stand, but doing it anyway because that's what heroes do, or Sam giving up the last of his supplies for Frodo to help him keep going a little bit longer. Just all these little things. I love it. Yeah, it's it feels like almost you're not allowed moments like that now. I don't know. There would have to be some kind of like deeper motivation behind it, or there would have to be some way of subverting it somehow. You couldn't have these big, larger than life heroic characters and moments anymore.
I don't know if they know how to write them anymore.
That's a great point. I just don't think they do. I think that is such a lost thing in Hollywood right now. And if they do write a heroic scene, they try so hard to make it not a dude. Like and then it becomes, which it doesn't have to be a white dude, but they try to make it like not a dude all the time. All the time. I was asked today by somebody like to describe the MCU, which I fully plan to do in the very near future. To go down the rabbit hole on that one to explain what I mean by that. I mean, if you watch my videos, but not everybody does. I know it's heartbreaking to hear that, but it's just a fact. And it's poisoned Hollywood. It's not just Marvel, it's everything else. That's why when, we were talking about rules for writing now, the unwritten rules that are actually literally written down for them now. So Amazon gets the Rings of Power, and the one thing they cannot do is adapt Tolkien. So they paid all this money and they can't adapt it properly. And I know a lot of you out there might ask, sure they can. They can do whatever they want. No, they feel like they cannot. They feel like it's too old fashioned. We're past that now. It would perpetuate stereotypes. So you spent $250 million just getting the rights to something from a guy you think is basically a sexist, a misogynist, and a racist. But yes, that's what we're dealing with here. It's so insane when we're just talking about like one story, which I mean, most people would probably be pretty happy to hear and see and watch and be excited about. Remember when we used to be excited about things, like, hey, they're going to adapt Moon Knight. Whew, awesome. Freaking cool. We're getting another Batman movie. Awesome. Brilliant. Now it's like, just not adapt it. Like, let's leave everything alone now. That's where we're at now. It's so sad. And you know, it's 20 years ago isn't that long for old men. All right. So it just seems like yesterday where things were fine and we can watch this and just have a good time and not have to worry about like what it's perpetuating or whatever. It's perpetuating a good story. That's what it's doing.
Yeah.
And,
Well,
It's doing great cinema as well.
Look how we all felt, I guess, when we watched this and came away from this film. We all felt uplifted and we felt inspired and we felt fucking good and happy to be alive, you know, and just really enamored with, hey, you can tell great stories. Movies can be awesome. How many times do we get that now with the films that are made? Just it doesn't do that. It demoralizes you.
Well, as you said at the beginning of this, like once upon a time we thought, what a neat movie. Let's get some more. Nowadays, how often do we say how lucky we were to get these? How insanely lucky we were to have had this happen?
Mm-hmm. Was it the Rageaholic who said when he was describing the Star Wars sequel trilogy, like it was conceived out of spite?
It feels like it.
So.
I mean, it certainly feels like it.
And I think you could apply that to a lot of modern movies, particularly where they're adapting the works of older writers and authors and trying to update them. It's done through spite and hatred of the fact that these men were successful and good at what they did.
So
all this praise.
Yeah, that big historic change to the Doctor. What was it met with? Oh, fanboy. I can't wait to see the fanboy tears. That was the first thing out of everybody's freaking pilot. It wasn't like love for the franchise or, you know, genuinely wanting to see this. And yeah, there was probably some people out there, but most of it was just fanboy tears. That's all we want to see.
Did you see you saw One Ring's tweet yesterday?
Which one?
One Ring. They tweeted they tweeted out. I just got linked into this earlier, saying we've challenged these content creators in inverted commas. No, they are content creators because they create content, unlike you. You adhere to Amazon. That's what you do, and then you shill for a series which goes against everything Tolkien stood for. But there you go. That's okay. It's a good start. We've challenged these content creators to demonetize their Lord of the Rings content to show their love comes from a place of true passion. If ever there's a moment of projection right there. That hate has no place in fandom. Thus far, it's only monetized reactionary content. You can always track everything and it will come down to money with these people. Right? These projectionists. Hey, we can't make anything from this. We can't create content, which actually that's fucking amazing.
Beautiful shit I bought before I fucking YouTubed. Okay.
Yeah, they can't create anything. They are the reactionists. They are the ones who react to people who speak out, who genuinely have passion and love for the series, for the characters, for the books, for the movies, whether it be for this animation back in the day. And so it's just the projection element of it is so laughable to me. You know, stop your livelihood and stop your spread of truth, so we can continue to do our shilling for Amazon.
Yeah. For whatever, for goodie bags, for access.
Yeah, for access. You destroyed your reputation for access.
But that's the thing they have, and the One Ring. What have they got? Like they've got like 100,000 followers on Twitter easily.
More, I think.
They get no engagement, no interest in anything that they say. They're a dead channel.
Dude, those accounts are so strange when they have like 1 million followers and 1 like. It's like, what?
Yeah,
how does that even happen?
Drinker, you could tweet out, I ate toast for breakfast and a beer, and you'd probably get thousands of interactions on that tweet alone.
But that's what they've become. And so we almost don't have to care what they have to say about anything because their opinions aren't worth listening to.
But they
You know,
become everything that they hate. They become everything that they claim to have stood against. They're everything against the works of Tolkien. That's what they are now. They've become, and it's just, oh man, this is why shows, TV, comics, movies, it's all falling apart because the very people who used to like it have now aligned ideologically with a specific side, and that has become the proving element of what they want their content to be created around, ideology, against something which wasn't ideologically driven. It was something that was created to create British folklore, return some British folklore to a country that had lost it. A story of good versus evil. Something as I know it's not quite as basic as that, but it's a basic good versus evil with amazing characters that were built from the ground up, lore which is built from the ground up, civilizations built from the ground up, language built from the ground up.
I think it's interesting that what we have now is this weird industry of, like, they call them Tolkien scholars or self-professed Tolkien scholars, where it's basically just people with their own hang-ups and their own views, and that they try to then project onto the work of Tolkien. And it's weird because they're picking the bones of something that was made 70 years ago, more than that, probably. Like, they're not capable of creating anything of their own. And so all they can do is try and read meanings into things that didn't really have that. Like we discussed earlier, like with the friendship of Sam and Frodo, there was a kind of innocence and a purity to what Tolkien had created. He just wanted to tell a good story that fired his imagination, that I guess reflected some of his experiences in war and the world, and that would inspire people and bring them joy and entertainment. That's why he did it. He wasn't trying to make some fucking allegory for alphabet community people in the world of Gondor, or trying to use it as some metaphor for being gay in an unaccepting world. That wasn't what he was trying to do. He just wanted to tell a fun story, man. And it's really indicative, I guess, of where we're at as a culture, where we're not creating great stories of our own anymore. We're picking the bones of what previous generations have made and obsessing over them and projecting our own fucking weird hang-ups and obsessions onto it. That's what we're becoming now because of people like that. And somehow they're being enabled, they're being indulged, and they're almost being encouraged to do this ridiculous shit. And it's sickening because they're awful. Like, what they're doing isn't adding to anything. It's not adding to the world. It's not making any of our lives better.
No. Lord of the Rings certainly did.
Well, for one, I'm a Lord of the Rings fan, but it's not the only thing I cover. And in response to them, stop taking money at your job. What the fuck are you talking about? Once Lord of the Rings is good, I'd be happy. I'd be happy.
Gary, it's nonsense. It's just a nonsense because they know, they work wherever it may be. They earn their money. We work in our places. We make our money. The reason why they're doing it to say, oh, stop, don't make any money from this, is the jealousy element of it.
Well, the fact of the matter is, we just gave our opinions on something that Amazon made. Amazon produced something, made something, spent a lot of money, and we just react. I just gave us honest opinion. If it was good, I'd have told you it was good. But it's not. I've been watching Hollywood for a long time. I started covering a lot of very good stuff when I started my channel, where I did everything for free because it was. I had a conversation with an old friend of mine a couple days ago. I haven't talked to him in a long time. He used to be my best friend in high school. Right, his name was JD, and we were talking, and he's all, what's weird is you're now like your job is now something you've done for free for 35, 40 years. I'm all, yeah. I used to bore JD with the same conversations I do right now. Like I've been doing this, like I've been a dork my entire life. I have been into this shit my entire life. I have been talking about this stuff my entire life. I will continue to do it whether I make money or not. I don't give a fuck. This is the shit I've been into my entire fucking life. It just happens to be my job now. It was never fucking a plan. But no, you know what? I love it when people want to tell people what to do with their own fucking money. Go fuck yourself. Quite frankly, you little punk. But the thing is, when it comes to Lord of the Rings, I fucking love it. I love it. And the only thing we have asked, all of us, is don't fuck with the story. We haven't asked anything else to be put in. And you can't defend that, can you, One Ring? You can't, because you've gone against everything you were about before. You've completely betrayed your own fucking audience, and you can't handle it. Sorry, go on, guys.
Oh, you're right on, man. I was just going to say as well, it's funny that people kind of assume that we're some negative force that's leading people astray. That we're influencing people to feel a certain way about shows or modern culture or whatever. They've got to ask backwards, though. The reason each of our channels has done well and become popular is because we're just saying what everyone's thinking. That's why people have subscribed to us, because we're saying the things that they feel themselves. We've been lucky enough to find a platform to do it, and we've articulated it.
Yeah.
And that's why they support us.
Yeah, we're not conforming to the narrative.
Everyone's feeling the same way about the movies that are being produced now, the entertainment that's being produced, the direction it's going, the way it's being subverted and screwed over. We're not conditioning people to feel that way. They already do. They're just listening to us because we're saying what they think.
You can't force people to subscribe to you. You can't force people to watch you. In actual fact, getting somebody to subscribe to you is one of the hardest things you can do on YouTube.
Yeah, there's guides to it.
People watching Drinker, Gary, MauLer, myself, that's because they want to listen to what you got to say. That's what they want. And we don't always agree. And it's funny that, they talk about echo chambers and that's exactly where they live. We don't always agree on everything, but the one thing that we have, which is the foundation for all of us, is we all love what we're talking about. We all love the franchises, the company, or whatever the companies used to stand for, the books, whatever media it may be, video games. We all love it, and therefore we speak our own opinions from that. That's what makes people come to us. And if that's what makes something like the OneRing.net jealous and envious, so much so that they just look at how successful you're doing, how well you're doing, and they Gollum it. They want that precious. They want that precious. And so they just go and they sell their soul to Amazon for some access. You need to look in the mirror. That's what you need to do. You need to stop projecting out. You just need to look in the mirror. You broke yourselves. It's got nothing to do with us.
Yeah.
Lord of the Rings is, if it's good, and I've said this a lot, it's much better for my channel, for my sanity, for everybody else's sanity. We'd all want it. We'd all love it for it to be good. That would be freaking brilliant, just to cover a good show. It'd be nice. It'd be really freaking nice. It's all I've been asking for. And we have been laying out pretty well. So, Drinker, very well. MauLer, very well. As well. Like, laying out, like, hey, just don't fuck with, like, this is so simple. Adapt Tolkien. Well, we can't. Why not? Because what? Some people on Twitter might be upset. Why don't you try ignoring them just once? Sonic the Hedgehog. Can't believe, like, this is the franchise that gets it. But
Yeah.
gets it. It's like the fans got mad and they went, you know what? you're right. We're sorry. We'll fix it. Boom, problem solved. They got a sequel. And they got tons of love now. Absolutely tons of goodwill and love because you just showed basic human respect to the fandom once. No, and nobody in Hollywood gets it. They're just dumb as bag of hammers.
Yeah.
Sound like an old man.
Oh, look at, when we're talking about these movies now, like how fired up we feel about it, how passionate we are for it, and how uplifting it is to have watched these movies. Like I came away from Return of the King and I was just on a high like the whole day. For a rare occasion, I actually felt positive and optimistic about life, which is quite rare for a Scottish person. And how many films are going to provide you with that now? No,
that's why so many people have gone back in the past now. Like that's just what people have done. Okay, there's so much good. And like people forget, we just had like The Godfather had its 50th anniversary. The first two movies are freaking great, and they hold up to this very day. And we used to get classics like every 5 or 6 years you get a classic. Now we just don't even get a good movie. Spider-Man No Way Home. Yeah, it's a good movie. It's fun. It's very gimmicky. It's very gimmicky. It's fun though.
It doesn't quite reach the heights of like. But yeah, you're right. That's the highlight for Marvel at the very least. And it's just like, well, it's like a little flicker on the candle. You're like, oh, there you go.
Oh,
well, Lord of the Rings is like a fucking fog light thing that just blasts into the room. It's like, fucking hell, that was amazing.
Yeah.
Oh well.
And then, I haven't read the books. I'm somebody who's come to this material mainly because I watched the cartoon when I was a kid, and then I watched the movies when they came out 20 years ago. But it's something that's got to be said. If I've watched the trilogy 3 times, the extended trilogy in the last 6 months alone, because when I'm kind of like feeling that I really want that great fantasy epic that just hits all those notes that I can lose myself in. I'm not suddenly being taken out of it by Catwoman saying white privilege. I'm not being pulled out of films by dumb lines like this, or you're always sort of on the alert because you're waiting for the fucking current modern day sensibility nonsense to come in. No, this is a series of films by Peter Jackson, who himself said, the very thing is that we weren't to put our politics into it. And to respect what Tolkien was trying to do, and just lose yourself. Just lose yourself for those. It's the extended cuts, so it's 4 hours. It's those 4 hours per film, and just be happy to do so. And like you said, Drink, you come out of it and you're just like, wow, just
No, you still feel that like happy, completely satisfied, but when you see the end, you're a little sad too.
Oh yeah, because you want it again. You want it all again. That's why.
And you feel that connection to those characters, so that when their friendship is finally broken, they part ways. You feel almost a sense of loss because you've gone on all that journey with them, and go through all these trials and dangers and horrors and losses. And there's something really special about that, and I can see why it made such an impact on all the people who worked on it.
Yeah, it came at great cost. I mean, like the battle of the ring, like the rings of power were done. The elves had to leave. You could feel everything dwindling. Poor, Frodo, like he was just marked for life. He had, he was allowed to go to the undying lands because he was he was a ring bearer, and it fucked him up, and he will never be okay.
Yeah,
that's not a happy ending. It's not a happy ending. It's very sad. It's very tragic.
It's the fucking happy ending is people's reaction to the ending. A lot of people saying this is too long of an ending, when it's like, you don't understand. This is how you properly end a movie that lasts 12 hours. This is you get endings for each character. Basically, they make sure to cover everybody's conclusion. And
it's beautiful that the final scene is on Sam as well. Out of all the characters,
it's like hope, isn't it? But yeah, a big part of
Mm.
the endings, from what Gareth just said as well, is like a lot of it is pay attention to Frodo's face in a lot of the scenes. Once he's over, like having re-met with all the people he thought were gone, you can tell he's just not happy, and it's a little bit confusing until you realize, yeah, it's the ring. It's what the damage has been done to him, and it was never as simple as, yeah, everyone's happy, let's move on. It was a
And
little more complicated.
he was marked by the Witch King as well. So you know, he's got that.
And I think if you were to project that in Tolkien's life, you could see that as a definite comparison
analogy.
to World War and the shell shock that guys came back with, you know, the PTSD. That's something that would have left them.
That's, to me, why the relationship between Sam and Frodo is so solid. It's warship camaraderie. It's men in the trenches, you know. I know he's in World War II, but it's men in the trenches. It's men literally trying to survive each day, while seeing your comrades literally blown to pieces around you. We can't even begin to fathom. We cannot begin to fathom what these incredibly brave men went through for us, so we can have our freedoms, and what they sacrificed and what they truly gave up, and the brothers in arms that they gained because of their situations and their circumstances, and to see it so frivolously played with by Hollywood, to adhere to an ideology, just it makes me sick. It's just sick to my core.
So that great scene, we're in the tavern, and they can see everybody. The Shire may have missed the war, like everything is still quite normal, and I think there's an appreciation that we have allowed this to continue, and they're all looking around before they take a drink, just like what we've been through, what it means, and no one really knows.
They were so subdued.
Like they take their drinks, but none of them are really like happy or satisfied at the end of it. Like they're very much like, we can't really go back to the life that we had before. You know, we're drinking ale, we're sitting in our familiar tavern, but it's not like it was. We are different people now. We have been changed forever by this. So before I go on, I know, Gary, you've run out of time, unfortunately, but these things happen, man. The fellowship has got to be sundered.
Yeah, I have to go to the undying lands of making videos and stuff. Sorry, yeah, I do. I love these. If you want to repeat it sometime, like I'm gonna do one on the 20th anniversary, like later this year. But if you guys ever just want to get back together and talk about it again, I am freaking there. I love
sword,
man. And I know you guys like them out there too, because you've told me, and I really appreciate that. So no, I'll be back. I love hanging with you guys and talking about something I love. Will continue to love until my dying day. I'll probably watch it again on my home theater here very, very soon. Yeah. So thanks, Drinker. I really appreciate it. I really do. And inviting this channel is always an honor. Good to talk to you, Az and MauLer. And thanks everyone in the chat. You guys are wonderful. And the mods. And I'll see you next time. Not all who wander.
For joining us.
Thanks, man.
See you tomorrow.
Cheers. Yeah, see you tomorrow.
And for everyone who's watching this, like, if you haven't subscribed to Nerdrotic already, please do so. He produces great stuff. His rants are fucking lovely. They're just epic. Yeah, I just wanted to, like, I guess, finish up or talk about the movie just by discussing that final scene, and just the fact that it really hits home. I think it's so bittersweet, it's so poignant, it's so perfectly done. The fact that even Gandalf is leaving as well, because his work is done in Middle Earth, and he was only ever, I guess, brought back for a limited time because he died, and he was just given this chance to come back until his work was complete, and it is, and like he's finished now. I just think that's just a nice way for it to finish, I suppose. You know, knowing that they've done their part and it's over for them now, and their story's done.
And they're ushering in the age of man, right? Is the idea?
Yeah.
Because I guess it's left a little bit ambiguous what's going to happen to hobbits, but I guess it can be assumed they eventually dwindled and went extinct, and then it's just men who are left.
Yeah, because the dwarves are almost extinct, right?
I think, like in the books, I think they've basically been made homeless. They've been scattered across Middle Earth, and they've not really prospered. You know, their species has gradually dwindled out, so they're kind of going the way of the elves as well. So yeah, it's just men that are left, and in a way, the lesser men than what you started out with. The men of Numenor are like Aragorn's line, but they're eventually going to cease as well. And so, what you're left to carry on all of this legacy is us. You know, as flawed and imperfect and limited as we are. But I think it gives you a good message that for all our weaknesses, we are capable still of great things. And, you know, that's what we can live up to, I suppose. There's something to aspire to there with our own lives, such as they are. It's a pretty good fucking message. Like, it left me feeling pretty good, I guess, at the end of the movie.
Oh, yeah, I've always felt they ended it really well, and it's tough to end a movie that is 3 movies that are 4.5 hours long each or whatever. It's like, how do you tie all that up? And I think they did great.
Yeah, in a satisfying way.
I like that they didn't have the scouring of the Shire, which is it's from the books where it's so you're more, as you probably know about this anyway, but in the books, like, Saruman isn't killed at Orthanc or Isengard, sorry. He makes his way back to the Shire and basically takes it over and like runs it into the ground as like some industrialized nightmare. And then there's like a big battle at the end of the book to like defeat him and take it back. But it would have been too much, I think, to try and include that at such a late stage in the story. Like, even in the books, it felt a bit unnecessary.
Yeah, it seems to me that the only mistake was just not including the seed of the theatrical version, but at least we got it extended for Saruman's end. I think that's a better end than trying to get that to work in with the films. The films have gone in a slightly different direction. I think that if after, you know, Frodo drops that ring in there and we're all like, oh, it's over, and then they cut to people screaming in the Shire as Saruman leads Ben to destroy it all, we'd be like, wow. There's this
why did they
tonal
do that?
thing. Yeah, like, I can totally see why they made the decision.
Yeah. I think that, like, when you've already got like a 4-hour movie, 4.5 hours almost, that there was, you know, and it doesn't feel bloated. That's the thing. Like, there's so much going on. Like, it never feels like it's slow. To try and include all that stuff at the end, that would be probably another 20 minutes of runtime, and it just would have been impossible, I think, you know, beyond what the audience could ever tolerate, I suppose. So, yeah, I'm fine with them omitting it. Yeah, I was just thinking, well, when it came to like destroying the ring, like you mentioned there, I do think it's great that it's Smeagol who's ultimately responsible for it.
Yeah,
like, he's been lusting after it for the entire trilogy. He's the one who actually destroys it, even though he didn't mean to. He just fucking falls off the edge with it.
Yeah, he's so happy. Because when he gets it back, he's just so happy to get it back. He's not bothered that Sam and Frodo's still there. He's just, precious, got my precious back, and I'm dancing away. And
when he falls off the edge, like, and he's plunging into this pit of lava, like, he holds it to his chest, like he doesn't even care that that's what's happening to him. He's just so fucking happy to have it with him now.
And even when he's sinking, he's pushing his hand up to try and keep it above the lava. But no, it's not how it's going to work, Gollum, I'm afraid.
Yeah. But yeah, like, isn't it great that, you know, this guy who's almost got them killed so many times, you know, he's the one who ultimately is responsible for destroying it, even though he didn't mean to do it. Because Frodo would have run away with it otherwise, or he would have given it to Sauron or whatever.
Well, that's the second time that they've got to that place and turned around and gone, no.
Yeah.
Destroy the ring. No.
Oh, go on. Throw it in. No. Do it.
It happened to two, you know, a little hobbit and a Numenorian. But yeah, it was poetic justice, I guess. That's how the ring met its ultimate demise.
Yeah,
That was quite a thing, by the way. Biting the finger off. Just like, oof.
Yeah. It's.
But like I said, it used to eat kids. So
yeah.
I mean, it's straight out of the books. Like that's exactly how it plays out. And he describes it as well, how insane it looked. The fact that Gollum's wrestling with an invisible person, so he just seems to be like floating in midair with Frodo's back, and like that's exactly what you see. And I guess it kind of mirrors what happens to Sauron at the start of the trilogy, when like he gets his fingers sliced off with the there.
It's like poetry.
It's just as George would say. Yeah, it's it rhymes.
Another sort of funny thing that I always imagined could have happened at some point. So they're all having a meal. So after all this happened, like the whole fellowship back together again. They're all joking about different things that happened. It's like, oh, wasn't it crazy? The elephants, the ghosts, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, oh, man, but we did it. We got there. That ring went in. And then Sam just says, like, almost didn't. And then Frodo's like, looking at him like, don't. And then Sam's like, well, I just mean that, like you didn't want to put it in.
Yeah.
And then Gandalf's like, what? And he's like, oh, well, and then Frodo's like, no, I did want to put it in, actually. I put it in. Yeah, I put it in. And Sam's like, yeah, he put it in. It was him.
Yeah. 100% him. Yeah.
Did you want to keep the ring? Maybe.
Look, okay, it was like 1 second that I decided, oh, maybe not,
Yeah.
maybe not. And Sam's like, it wasn't really 1 second, but okay. Just like this really passive aggressive dinner table sort of scene.
I love all the scenes when people are tempted by it. Every time someone sees it or they got the chance to hold it or whatever, and you just see the lust in their eyes for this thing, like the way it's just already taken hold of them. It's so fucking cool.
The music would always be kind of like,
yeah,
as if there was some sort of humming,
yeah,
hypnotic kind of aspect to it that was drawing to it.
It's this like the look that they always have. It's like this mixture of like fascination and terror. Like they know that they shouldn't be attracted to this ring, and yet somehow it keeps pulling them. It keeps playing on their minds. It's a great, it's just a great, like an antagonist basically that you can carry around with you that can't harm you physically, but like it just slowly like eats away at your mind. It slowly tempts you.
Gollum.
Yeah.
It's what Gollum does. What Gollum does to Frodo.
Yep.
Particularly ramps it up in this one when he decides to be full on Gollum and no longer Schmeagol. Then he's poisoned him against Sam. He's poisoned against his greatest ally.
You notice as well when Frodo's carrying it, like he's got it on a chain around his neck, and his neck gets more and more fucking
like
ruined by it.
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
The little chain
like
itself.
Yeah.
It's a really good detail, dude. And that's that part of the film where he's climbing up the stair and it dangles, and it's like this moment where Gollum could grab it and push him, sort of thing. And it's just like,
yeah, it's a bit of a tense moment, that bit. But yeah, Gollum's kind of thinking, could he get away with it, grabbing it, pushing him?
The risk, because Sam, I think he thinks about it, then he sees Sam behind him pulling a sword out, and he's like, all right, fuck it, we'll do the original plan. Shelob is the plan.
Yeah. But yeah, every time, because it fell out, throughout the course of the trilogy, it's fallen out a few times, but every time it did, just the look, just that look on people, that desire on people's faces to touch it, to hold it. Oof.
It even briefly affects Sam when he's holds it for just a short time, and then he's to give it back to Frodo, and he's reluctant. You can see it.
He has a bit of a moment reconsidering it, which but he still gives it back because Sam, I think, other than maybe Bilbo, is like the most resilient character to the ring. It seems.
But
I think it's just
it's,
his simple-minded devotion to Frodo is what saves him, because he's got no grand ambitions of power, so there's almost not much for the ring to latch onto.
It's hard to corrupt someone who's that like chill.
Yeah.
I mean, I thought, you could look at it as if Frodo's coming more and more to the ring, demanding to get the ring back and all that. But I always saw it as Frodo knows exactly, because he says very quickly afterwards, "No, this is my burden to bear," and I think he knows exactly, obviously, the effect that the ring is just having on him, and he doesn't want that in any way to be inflicted upon Sam at all. So even though Sam might be able to hold the ring for a bit, it would only start to pervert him like it has with Frodo.
I always wondered what would happen if, say, like, rather than there being one specific ring bearer, like you just put it in a box and had 4 people carry it or something. Like,
I think the ring would twist them. It would seduce them from that.
I think it's part of the reason that the Fellowship breaks up is that there is a general like hum of the ring for everybody around Frodo.
Yeah.
Because I think even Aragorn is like on board with the idea that Frodo go alone, because it's like, this is fucking dodgy shit, man. It's like,
but even he was for a moment like, just that moment.
Like, a lot of characters get tested by the ring, and some of them come through, some of them don't.
So did Boromir come through or not?
Well, he doesn't, and I actually think that he's too weak to fight off the influence of the ring, but he's fucking brave as hell when it comes to defending innocent people.
Yeah. I think once the ring was removed from his grasp, like it allowed him to reassert his own personality and then become the hero again.
Yeah, you have to remind him, because that's the thing. That's why I find the mechanics of the ring so fucking fascinating. Is that it can take traits of yours that are usually altruistic or even just good and flip them to become much more sinister.
Yeah,
it's like, we need the ring to destroy Sauron. We need the power, and it's just like,
yeah, we need Gondor needs the ring to defeat,
Because if you remember in this film, Denethor is like, you should have brought the ring here. We would have put it in our, in our vaults.
He's lying though. Yeah, he's lying.
We would only use it when we need to, and it's just like, you full of shit.
Yeah, exactly. That's the seduction of the ring.
And I think the more powerful a person is, the more of a danger it presents to them, because it's got more to latch on to. With someone like Sam, or even Gollum's a good example. Like he doesn't have the power to wield the ring and do anything with it. He just gets corrupted by it. But if someone like Gandalf was to take it and become seduced by it, like that would be a terrifying creature that it would create. Because
Galadriel.
Yeah, well, yeah, you get to see a little glimpse of what she could become if she was to take it. And you can see how shook she is when she refuses it. Like, it took a lot out of her to be able to say no to that.
She felt she had passed her test, didn't she?
Passed the test.
Yeah.
Good shame.
Isn't that this elf that's like thousands of years old, that's one of the most powerful creatures in Middle Earth, struggled to turn it down, whereas someone like Sam, a simple-minded gardener, was able to give it back to Frodo with relative ease. Pretty interesting things to think on. Like, the power that you have within you doesn't always define how good you are as a person.
That's another thing as well. When he gives that ring back and Frodo puts it on, he feels like elated putting it on, almost like, oh, thank God it's back, sort of thing. And even Sam is just like, I
looked at that because when I saw that scene, I actually thought he looked more tired when he put it back on.
I got the impression that
going around his neck again,
like more energetic, like, oh shit, it's gone, damn, we fucked up. But like, he seemed almost healthier in that moment. But the moment he put it on, it's like his whole being slumped over because the fucking weight was on him again.
I guess what I mean is to do with like the desperation to get it off Sam and back to him. as opposed to we need to get rid of it. And just yeah, I don't know. It's like this. He like closes his eyes, and it seems a little bit more at peace for a second. He's got it back, and then he looks at Sam, and he's like, "It's got to be destroyed, right? We got this. Our plans on." But there's a lot of ways to look at it, I suppose, in terms of exactly what's going on in his head. But I just think that this is the point in the film where it's definitely clear that he likes the ring. He's
he needs it at that point. And there's a question here that kind of ties into this. Do you think anyone could destroy it willingly? Probably not, because it's certainly in the books, the closer it gets to the place where it was forged, the more powerful it becomes. In a far off place like the Shire, it was relatively benign. Like, its influence took decades to have any impact on Bilbo. But when you get it back to Mount Doom, it's so powerful that nobody could drop it in willingly. Like, its power at that point is enough to just corrupt your mind almost immediately. That's what happened to Isildur. He took it there, and straight away it took him. And there's no way he could destroy that.
And of course, the ring at that point will be genuinely terrified of its own destruction. So it's going to be doing everything it can to be like, "Do not put me in there."
Yeah.
Don't drop me.
Yeah. It's bloody hot.
Yeah.
But yeah, we saw it's Arathorn, the king of the king who took the ring initially.
Isildur.
Isildur, yeah. Isildur, yeah. And he he's there with sorry, it's like getting tired. And it's like, throw it in. This is like, no, he can't do it.
He's still,
and then Frodo gets there. He's like, throw it in, Frodo, throw it in, Master Frodo.
The ring is mine.
The ring is.
I kind of wonder, right, why Elrond, as morally grey as it is, didn't just kill Isildur and throw it in himself.
Yeah.
Like, I know.
I've heard people bring it up before. You start a war between man and elf if you do that.
But no one's there, though. No one saw it.
What did he fucking slipped and fell into?
Isildur couldn't handle it.
He tried to throw it in and lost his footing, I'm afraid.
Crazy shit happened, man. He had.
By the way, I've got this lovely ring.
Yeah.
How do we know that Elrond couldn't withstand the lure of the ring?
Well, it has less in power on elves, although you see it with Galadriel, so I don't know. Maybe
I don't know. Yeah, I don't think they really give us an answer on how influential it is on elves or dwarves. Like, it's very briefly in the sphere of influence of Gimli and Legolas.
Yeah, well, Galadriel mentions in the opening narration that it preys on men. Like, that's why the Nazgul were corrupted by it. That's why 9 of the rings were given to men, because they're the most easy to corrupt. I think the elves are the most difficult, but it can be done. But I think maybe someone like Elrond might have been able to throw it in, especially if he only had it for a few moments. But that's just my supposition. Like, it could mean anything.
That scene, by the way, where Sam hesitates for a moment to give it back, I think as well because of the fact they don't give him a line saying, "But Mr. Frodo, I like the ring now too, and it's influencing me." Because they don't do that, and he just looks at him. You can also infer there's a level in his face of looking at Frodo and maybe being like, "Man, this thing is bad for you." Like, you can say he's got split motivations. Like, one, that the ring is influencing him, but two, that it's like, giving this back to you is doing shit to you that I don't like.
Yeah. Well, when he lifts the ring out of his pocket, like, his eyes keep going to it. Like, he's not just looking at Frodo, he's looking at the ring like it's drawing his attention.
Mm-hmm.
But some would say to Frodo, "I see you at night, you're just looking at it. You're just looking at it."
Yeah.
Because Frodo's taking it out at night and just staring at it.
Yeah.
That ring's a nasty boy.
I do like as well that if you watch it carefully, they never show Sam touch the ring itself. He's only ever holding the chain.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder if that's deliberate, just to show that he's got a distance from it.
Maybe. They raise an interesting point as well, because I think from the point of view of the the ring bearer, the ring does become physically heavier the closer you get to Mount Doom. Like, it knows where they're taking it, and it's trying to fuck them over by like making it as hard as possible. But then Sam's able to pick up Frodo, who has the ring on him, and it's, you know, it's fine. Like, it doesn't cause him any additional strain. It's just like he's got to carry the weight of Frodo, which is quite a cool idea, actually.
Yeah.
Like he says, I can't carry it. Sorry, I can't carry it for you, but I can carry you instead. Which is, yeah, it's kind of a cool idea.
Sorry. I got a cat going nuts on my desk.
Dude, Morbius has 17% on Rotten Tomatoes.
That's an
Oh,
improvement.
it's gone up. It's gone up. It was on 16%. Yeah. It's gone up 1%.
Yes, they pointed out as well in the book, Sam uses the ring to sneak into the tower. Yeah, so in the book he actually does put it on for a while.
Ooh.
Because he theorizes that he could actually kill all the orcs in the tower while he's invisible.
Yeah, probably.
Which is kind of cool. But yeah, he doesn't.
Dude,
really
in the fucking video game, you go to Cirith Ungol and you fucking slaughter like 1,000 orcs as Sam. You just fuck them up. I like to think that's the canon. Like, Sam just went Hulk mode.
Sorry, Master Frodo, I killed them all last night.
I like the fact that, like, when Frodo's taken prisoner in that tower, the orcs just start fighting amongst themselves, and like it just leads to like mass slaughter. Like, pretty much every orc in the fucking tower's dead.
The scum tried to knife me. Get him.
See, I think they're Uruk-hai there, like a mixture of orcs and Uruk-hai, because they're big. Like they were.
It does look that way. I don't know if we're supposed to infer that they are an extension of Isengard men, or if it's just that Uruk-hai can be made anywhere and that Sauron had his own.
I think, I think in the books, and probably like you can infer this in the movies, like Saruman believed that they were his idea, but in reality, Sauron had created them and he just gave him the idea.
Sure.
That was a lot of what he did to manipulate Saruman. It was to appeal to his vanity and make him think he was this great, almost scientist who can create this new breed of orc that was better than anything else that had come before it. Where in reality, it was Sauron who'd come up with that idea. He just gave it to him. So yeah, it makes sense that they exist in Mordor as well. So, would you guys be up for answering a couple of super chats since we're here?
Sure.
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. All right. So the very first one here was from Chucksenhausen, and it's an epic 4-parter. So
wow.
I'll go through all of them actually, and I'll do it as one continuous super chat, an epic chat. Drinker, I was looking up info on the movie Absolutely Anything this morning. I mentioned it last week. Think pole dance to Duel of the Fates. And once again, can't trust normal critics today. These activist critics, I swear, just wanted to hate this movie because John Cleese and the Monty Python crew don't fit their narrative of comedy. I genuinely thought it was funny when Simon Pegg ended hunger, global warming, and war, only to have the world make it worse. Probably doesn't fit the message of the critics. Oh well. One last thing. My one-night stand told me that I'm only the second person to make her waterfall next to her ex-girlfriend. That felt special.
Wow.
There's a lot to unpack with that.
Yeah.
I'm not too familiar with Absolutely Anything, though. I don't know if you guys have heard of it. But
I've not heard of it.
Anyway. Yeah. Apparently John Cleese and the Monty Python guys are in it, so that's fair play. The next block is from RRTNZ, so again, I'll just go through all of them. Hail Drunkler and crew. Return of the King and Endgame both close epic sagas. Return of the King has minor flaws, but is universally loved. Endgame, not so much. Storytelling-wise, where did Endgame fail where Return of the King succeeded?
Where do I begin? How long have we got?
Yeah,
I mean, there's time travel in Return of the King, so I suppose that's where you would start, really.
I am more than willing for people to try time travel. The last thing you want to do is to permeate throughout the entire script and fuck everything up and everything to come after it. I think the flagrant disregard for how you would take care of half the world coming back is damaging as hell to every character involved. That's probably where I would open in terms of like Return of the King doesn't have an event that destroys all the characters as far as I can tell. No, the fact that nobody was like, man, it's great that we're bringing everyone back, but like, how are we doing it? And then Hulk is just like, I don't know. It's like, have we warned the government? I've seen people speculate. It's like, of course they warned the government. It's like, no, they didn't, because the government wouldn't have let them time travel. Like, that's obviously, yeah. I don't know. There's so much to go through. They picked the wrong
date. They picked a date purely based on one man, which was Tony Stark. They shouldn't have. The date should have been the immediate moment that it happened, so that everybody would be in their rightful places. And it wouldn't affect.
When they're like, well, where do we go to get all the stones at once? Like, well, there's 3 in 2012. There's blah, blah, it's like, blah, 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 blah. When Thanos has them, just kill him when he has them. You just port back. You have Thor cut off his head. You guys can do it. Don't worry about it. Especially, by the way, on Titan, when he's literally asleep. That's where they should have time traveled back. Yeah, yes, you'd have all the other Avengers be like, what the fuck's going on? It's like, but that's a fair price to pay to be like, look, guys, we're from the future. You fucked up. We're here to fix this.
Just like subdue fucking Star-Lord. It's like, right, you're not going to hit him. We're going to come in and kill the shit out of him properly.
Exactly. And since there would be a duplicate of every hero there, all supercharged, I mean, it's over. But and so that makes half of the film stupid and pointless. But yeah, I just wanted to say, by the way, Fringy's making a video on this. It's coming out in like, I don't know, maybe a month. I wouldn't want to say because I don't think he's said exactly when, but he's going to go through all of Endgame and how it's like one of the worst films in the MCU. It aged badly. Let's just put it that way.
I think the thing that pisses me off is that the entire finale hinges on Nebula spazzing out because she's got 2 Nebulas in the same time period, and she just randomly starts playing a bit of footage from the other Nebula's like eye point of view that completely explains everything that the Avengers are trying to accomplish. And literally, if that didn't happen while Thanos was in the room with her, none of the finale would have taken place. He would have had no clue what was going on. So that kind of ridiculous, happenstance that was so unlikely to have ever happened, that's what drives your plot, is a bit of a fucking cop-out as far as I'm concerned. There's one here from the Butcher Bear. It says, does the mithril shirt subdue the power of the ring while Frodo is wearing it? Not as far as I'm aware. No, it doesn't have any impact.
I don't think so.
How did Spider-Woman puncture the mithril vest?
There are 2 possible answers. One, if you look at his shirt, it's open at the top, so you have to imagine that a stinger was just in the right place to get him. The other answer is because it's a form of mail, that maybe her stinger is sharp enough that the tip would have gotten through the rings. Either one I find mostly satisfactory with how thin the stinger is and how open his shirt is, but it's hard to spot exactly, because it's funny, you're talking to the guy who's so fucking obsessed with details like this. I was like, I've had this conversation with several people. I think it does just work if you watch it.
It just works.
It just works.
Yeah.
Just the tip.
Next, just the tip, yeah. Also from this same person says, congrats to Gary for discovering Michael Moorcock's Elric stories. Recommend you check out his Runestaff books too. Drunkler, you inebriated internet folk hero. Never change. Have one of me, lads. Cheers, buddy. And lastly said, Return of the King is made up of so many great moments and speeches like Theoden's charge, Sam versus Shelob, Sam carries Frodo, Eowyn versus the Nazgûl, the For Frodo moment. So, lads, what are your favorite moments in Return of the King?
Well, all the ones we went over, I guess. The charge of the Rohirrim's got to be up there.
Yeah, that's going to be right up there. Just thinking because there's some pretty damn good ones. I really like the whole Faramir stuff as well, with him being alive and the steward just completely balmy. Gonna burn himself alive, just desperate. But the charge of the Rohirrim, not Rohirrim.
Yeah. Hey.
I know. I learned the word. That's just an absolute goose pimple moment for me. Just goose pimple moment. So the whole speech, the whole charge, the whole death screaming, the whole just smacking it. Oh, all of it is just at the right moment, when all seems to be going Pete Tong. It's just perfect.
Can I tell you mine? And it's not one of those big epic moments like that. It's when Frodo and Sam are trying to climb Mount Doom, and it's just the moment where the Black Gate opens, and so Aragorn and the others are getting surrounded by, this unassailable huge army, and they are given their lives for Frodo and Sam just to buy them the time that they need to get up to the top of Mount Doom. And they've collapsed because they're completely exhausted. And Frodo just looks up and sees this enormous volcano towering over him, like fucking fire and smoke, like spewing from the top. And he crawls up on his hands and knees, like he can't even stand anymore. And he's just clawing his way up the slope. I think that's probably my favorite moment in the whole movie, because it's just a man at the absolute end of what he can physically do. Body's exhausted, pushed to his absolute limits, and still going with every last ounce of his strength. I think that's fucking beautiful. Like, the music and everything that comes in at that moment is just perfect. Like, for me, that's my favorite scene in the whole movie.
Nice.
Yeah.
But that is just me.
I get it.
The next one was from J.K. Fozel, said, Return of the King Extended was my favorite movie. The only reason it's not anymore is because of that nonsense with Frodo tackling Gollum into the volcano. By the way, Scott Pilgrim versus the World is currently my number one. Okay. I mean, like I say, that's basically what happens at the end of the books as well. Like, Frodo and
I don't get why is it nonsense?
I don't know, because like they're fighting over the ring, and it seems like an appropriate end for this. It's undone by its own power. It's lure to other people.
Oh, it's great, dude. It ends up falling in with two people fighting over trying to keep it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Great.
And they both could have been in the lava. Never mind, just Gollum. If Frodo hadn't grabbed onto that ledge, then the two would have been down, and they just would have both killed themselves fighting over the ring. Which shows again the power of the ring.
Yeah. The swashbuckling scallywag said, Right, lads, how much do we have to crowdfund to get the crew back for the scouring of the Shire? If The Hobbit had got 3 films, this deserves a mini-series, surely. Like I said before, just at that point in the story, it just would have felt like too much. With everything else that had happened, it would have been unnecessary to add that at the end. So I can do without it, personally. Mikey Gusler said, This is the one where we finally realized that Gimli wanted Frodo and Sam to die. I don't know how anyone who claims to be a critic didn't pick up on this glaring plot hole. Cinematic venom for the win.
Yeah, it's just, it wasn't in my version. I missed that scene. What can I say?
Yeah. Also from Mikey says, everyone loves to say that the writing is good in these movies. Then how come when Sam tells Frodo that Gollum is a villain, how come no one picked up on this bad dialogue like we obviously know? I mean, that's just...
That's another comment from Cinematic Venom, I think. He said that him calling a villain is terrible dialogue when it's more so
But it's old-timey dialogue,
It's
isn't it?
older-timey language, yeah, to be like, you're a bad man, you're a villain, that sort of thing.
And also from Mikey says, Gollum calling Sam a horrid hobbit who hates Smeagol and makes up nasty lines is a real line that the villain says. Can you imagine Darth Vader saying that even though they're different characters? No.
Oh,
Like,
what?
Gollum
Is that another cinematic Venom thing?
I think it might be. I'm not sure.
What the
I love the
fuck?
idea of Darth Vader saying Luke makes up nasty lies about Darth Vader.
Luke makes up nasty lies about
Luke
me.
hates us. He hates us.
He hates the Force.
He took all the bread.
The Limpkin bread.
He also said, and wouldn't you know, more random laughter at the end of the film when Frodo wakes up and sees Gandalf and both of them laugh. I mean, why are they even laughing? It's not like they have won. It's not like they haven't won anything.
Is this more cinematic Venom?
Hey, 12 hours later and we still don't have any character for Aragorn, and Gandalf wasn't even needed for these movies. At least Dumbledore was needed. There's a window into insanity. J.K. Fozel says, to clarify my previous super chat, it's my understanding that no one could consciously destroy the ring, and Gollum accidentally destroyed it in a fit of pure jubilation. Seems perfect to me. Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely. It's people, like you say, people destroyed it by fighting over it to the last moment. Seems like a perfect way for it to go. Unhinged said, well, mount my doom. This will be legendary. We will mount your doom. J.S. Pena says, bad news, Bruce Willis. Aphasia rumors were true. Yeah, I feel bad now because we criticized him a little bit for some of his shitty movies. But I guess he was just trying to do as many as he could before he retired.
yeah. I mean, it seems that was exactly the reason why. Sad.
Shame, but well, hopefully, like he'll find a little bit of peace in retirement, and I don't know, maybe he can recuperate a little bit. I don't know how these things play out. Joshua Levesque said, any chance you can do EFAPs for Moon Knight, MauLer?
So the plan for now is we've got the next EFAP is going to be on another Twitch streamer. The EFAP after that's going to be on another Twitch streamer because it's a whole saga. And believe me, it may sound boring, but my God, you guys are in for a ride with the quotes that we've got to deal with, the clips. Holy fuck. The one after that will be a multimedia medley, more than likely. And we're going to talk briefly about the state of Halo as a TV show at that point and the state of Moon Knight as a TV show at that point. I think at least 4 episodes will be out for both of them at that point, so we'll have a chat about them. That's the coverage you will likely get. If Moon Knight, I don't know what's good. I don't want to say anything until we see more episodes, to be honest with you. Like,
I just love the disdain in your voice there. It's like, if Moon Knight.
Yeah. Well,
I was about to say, if it turns out great,
it being good.
Did you see episode 2 of Halo?
Oh God, there's a second one already?
Uh-huh.
No, I haven't been commanded. I wouldn't.
I can't bring myself to
unless.
No, I can't. I can't watch it. I just can't.
It'll be a matter of the other guys being like, "Want to watch it?" I'll be like, all right, I'm on the way.
Next one was XSL, who said, has MauLer watched Invincible? If not, have everyone else around him watch it, including EFAP, and unanimously vote to make him watch it.
Nah. Hey, that only worked with several things, okay?
Wait, you've seen Invincible, haven't you?
No, I have not.
Oh, go watch it. You'll like it.
I will watch it the second that not gonna make you both watch.
Wait. Look, I recommended Arcane. That worked out nicely. You told me I needed to watch the extended cut of Return of the King, and
you should have already seen that. That doesn't count. I recommend Whiplash. You got to see that.
I am gonna watch that one. So don't worry there. But yeah, I think you would enjoy Invincible. It's pretty good.
Loads of people have recommended it. Though we've just glossed over a potential injustice. It got over-recommended to Az. Arcane did. Now he doesn't want to see it. Drinker, what do we do? What do we do?
How do we call it?
I'm getting called out.
Okay.
I don't know. I don't know. I know. I've been psychologically broken from watching it.
Only people with small dicks don't watch it. So, that's been proven by science.
Shit.
That'll get him.
That's not fair. I thought we were in a rock and a hard place now. Well, not so hard.
A rock in a small place.
a rock and a small dick place. I'll try.
XSL also asked us, will MK be weekly pre-recorded before Saturday EFAPs or at the end of the season? Give all thoughts right after for longer post-ambo or preamble.
We've not recorded watching the first one. I don't think we'll record watching any of them really, but we will cover them. There's a lot I've got to say on the first episode, both good and bad. So if it keeps it up in terms of potential commentary, then you'll definitely get EFAP coverage of it.
Nice. Benjamin Flensborg says, good evening, chat, and I promised a shout out from my friend in Arkansas. These are the days of the king. Love you guys. Cheers, man. Master Malrubius says, Sargon, Leo deserves a raise. Don't know what that means, but okay. Hope you're listening.
Sargon was in the chat earlier.
He is, yeah. I saw him earlier. Blue Tiger says, hey, and everyone else. I just started reading Redemption. Awesome opening scene. Also, hi, Rags. Thank you very much. And Rags says hi.
Me do.
Junebug said, check JSG super woke tweets. JSG, what's that?
Just
some guy.
Yeah.
What is the deal with just some guy? I'm not familiar.
I don't know.
He's, from what I can gather, he's defending the or he's not defending, I should say. He's this anti-grooming bill from America.
What's he in favor of, or he's against it?
He's against. No, he's against it. I believe. I think that's. I'm trying to stay out of it all, to be honest with you.
Right.
But I think. I don't want to say anything that's going to be from an ignorant position because, like I said, I'm trying to stick out of it. But as far as I'm aware, I think there's been things said about the bill.
Okay. Yeah, like I say, I'm not familiar with him, so I don't know.
What's that?
There was one here as well. So, destruction of the ring in the movie fit very well with Tolkien's theme that evil has a strange power to work against itself and against its will to create the good. Oh, sorry, against its will create good. Thanks for a great discussion. Yeah, that's absolutely right, actually. Yeah, I think it's alluded to in the books multiple times that evil ultimately is self-defeating. I guess you could apply that to like the Sith and fucking Star Wars, how they're constantly killing each other. Same principle, I suppose. What's this? Just some guy's a genuine expert in Lord of the Rings, but it seems he has a very personal vendetta against anything politically conservative. Fair enough, like. Matthew Space says, Epic 50 deserves an epic super. You guys are helping me get through a nasty custody battle for my firstborn. Thanks for keeping me sane. Thank you very much, man. You donated $100, so like, thank you for your generosity. And man, I hope that fucking custody battle sorts itself out. I hope it goes in your favor, mate. But yeah, thank you for the generous super chat. Steel Scout says, hola, awesome shirt, drinker, and Lord of the Rings is the best trilogy of all time. Thank you. Yeah, it's Umbrella. Love them. Yeah.
Plot hole, what does that have to do with Lord of the Rings?
Yeah.
Terrible.
But yeah, man, honestly, when I look at this, and I'm pretty sure I've seen the Fellowship of the Ring extended cut. I just need to see Two Towers, probably, because I'm pretty sure I haven't seen that one. But if I was to take all of those combined, yeah, this has got to be one of the biggest cinematic achievements of my lifetime, easily. The Lord of the Rings, just in terms of like quality of storytelling, the epic scale of it, man, it would just, I can't think of much that can beat it in the time I've been on this earth.
My pussy's gone crazy.
Oh my!
Keep that hand there. We don't
I
need
know.
nudity on this channel.
So we don't need pornography on the channel. No. Cat pornography.
What are you
All
doing?
pussy corrupts and absolute pussy corrupts absolutely.
yeah.
Look what it's done to us.
I know.
Give me a thumbs up. Cheers, matey. And Steve Meyer said, Lord Drinker, I challenge you to be the first streamer to break through the Iron Curtain and be the first YouTuber to do a stream with Red Letter Media. I don't think it's going to happen. They don't seem to interact with other YouTubers, really.
No.
There's even a way to get in touch with them. Yeah, it'd be cool to talk to them, but I just don't think it's ever going to happen, sadly.
Well, everyone from Hollywood they get on seems to be done for sexual,
yeah,
some sort of sexual assault or something. So I think they just gave up.
Bellicose says they couldn't take the Eagles to Mordor because Sauron was being supplied with high-tech surface-to-air missiles from NATO.
Boom.
There you go. Freedom fighter right there. Thoughts on Fitness said, I just arrived at the perfect show. Indeed you did. And Samuel Lund says, what has stood empty longer, the throne of Gondor or Hassan Piker's chair? No one has sit.
Who knows? Who knows? I need my nuggies. My mom's got to make my nuggies.
Imagine that, just being able to like leave a stream running and literally fuck off. Like go and make yourself a coffee or something and just make money.
And then when the creator complains, you go, you know what? I ain't reacting to your shit anymore. It's like, yeah. Okay.
Okay. Good. Thank you.
Yeah.
Clearly my loss. Oh no.
Pay for an exposure.
Lord
really did say that.
Pretend the Shadow, Sauron, and Nazgul would just watch as they fly by on the Eagles. Yeah, I think that was the Nazgul would probably be able to intercept them, I guess.
Look, Sauron had a Barrett 50 cal. It was right there on the tower. He would have shot him down. And we were like, no.
More missiles, you know.
No.
Charles Hurst gave me $50. Thank you, man. Said JRR definitely channeled the Polish relief of Vienna when he wrote The Charge of the Rohirrim. Knowing that makes that scene so much more awesome. We deserve more movies like this. Cheers, gentlemen. It was like a Charge of the Light Brigade kind of situation, but hey, who knows? Rob the Builder said, hail the panel. Watch the extended edition the other day. A sign of good pacing is your 4-hour epic feeling like an hour and wanting to see more. Yeah, it never dragged. I'll say that about it. It never felt like it was padded or it was bloated or anything like that.
No, it's 4 hours. It doesn't feel the length it is at all. That's what happens when you get immersed in a wonderful world with wonderful characters and wonderful story.
Yeah, it's just it has that weird power to absorb you into it, and just you kind of lose track of time, and you just think, God, this is an incredible fantasy world, and I like being here. It's nice, and there's not many things that make you feel that way anymore. Oh yeah, like I'm wrong on this one. The Charge of the Light Brigade was like I'm thinking of Faramir's charge on Osgiliath.
Oh, that's definitely kind of like the Charge of the Light Brigade, yeah. But that wasn't the Charge of the Light Brigade like an arrogant decision? They thought they could just
a dumb decision. I think they had a miscommunication of orders basically because they were told to go and like capture a gun emplacement or something. They misunderstood where it was and nobody thought to check. So like, oh, it's fucking over there. Just go. And so off they went, and got massacred because they went straight into a valley with no way out.
Yeah.
And they were surrounded on all sides and just got like gunned down. So not their finest hour, really.
No.
But yeah, like I know there's a lot more super chats, but I'll probably need to catch up on them in a couple of days because I know that we've been streaming for about 3 hours now. We usually kind of finish up around the 3 hour mark. But yeah, gentlemen, I couldn't have thought of a better bunch of guys to have finished out this Lord of the Rings trilogy with. We've got Az and his pussy there. We've got MauLer with his mask of logic. We've got Gary not being here.
Yeah, Gary's gone.
The best fellowship.
What a fellowship, yeah.
Gary's like our Boromir.
Oh no.
No.
No, it was awesome. I loved watching this movie. I loved talking about it with you guys. Just to have these films that really stirred our imagination and just made us really fucking happy and inspired. It's like, man, we need more of that. We absolutely do. We all do. And it's great to know that things like that are still around and they can still have that effect on us. So, man, I came away from it just really happy. Yeah, I'm not sure if you guys have any closing thoughts on these films.
I love them. I'm so fucking thankful we got them. I love talking about them. I try to watch them yearly, mostly 2 yearly. I recommend them to basically everybody. It's a really cool set of movies to have at such a high level of quality, but also such a high level of audience satisfaction. We're never going to get them again. There's so many reasons why the way these were made would not be how anything's made anymore. All kinds of reasons across all levels of production. Thank fuck we got them. I love them, and this was really fun.
Yep.
Yeah, it's we just won't. I don't know when we're going to see the likes of a movie like this again. I really don't. Now that Hollywood has its tick box in place that you got to have this and you got to have that, that is always going to come at the sacrifice of art. With the award ceremonies, and we know how much people like award ceremonies, or used to. They have their tick boxes as well. If the film doesn't, that's going to come at the expense of art. And so to have such an amazing piece created that holds up so well today, is a beauty. And like I said, I've watched this trilogy 3 times within the last 6 months, and I think that's a desperate desire to see quality content and a desperate desire to see quality fantasy. And it saddens me that I don't know when we're ever going to get something the likes of this ever again. But at the same time, the fact that this has been made, the fact that I've got the physical media, you can't fuck with my physical media, is just in itself just something above and beyond. Just amazing films crafted with so much love and attention. Oh, beautiful. And thank you for having us.
Oh yeah.
Thanks,
And my pussy. Pussy, speak to me. Pussy.
Well, at least we can't see its asshole anymore, so that's
I know.
good.
Just this asshole.
Yeah.
Oh.
Not at all. And
Hey,
for everyone watching, like if you haven't subscribed to Heel versus Babyface and MauLer already, please do so. They're one YouTube search away and you'll get them. They absolutely deserve it. And I'm pleased to have been able to do this with you guys tonight. I appreciate you coming on for this, and I appreciate everyone in chat for your enthusiasm. I can tell how much love there is for these films, like just from what people are saying, and for all the great super chats you guys have sent. I'm sorry I wasn't able to get through them all. It's just this stream would go on for about 5 hours if I did that. More than that, probably. And I know MauLer's sitting there thinking, those are rookie numbers.
yeah.
I don't judge anyone. I'm perfectly kind and reasonable.
I'm just not long enough. But yeah, like I appreciate all of this stuff, and I appreciate the great work that the mods have done. Just always like keeping things in check. You guys are awesome. You guys in chat are great, and yeah, I will absolutely get through all of these super chats. I'll do a catch-up stream, and I'll give them the attention that they properly deserve. But for now, I guess we're pretty much done here. So that is all I've got for today. So go away now.
Bye.